In this episode of We Do A Little, we are joined by Misshattan. She is an aerial and street photographer based out of New York City and an overall fire artist in the NFT space. We get into Misshattan's passion for photography, her introduction in the NFT space, her love of late 90s professional wrestling, starting the trend of dangling feet from helicopters and taking pictures, and so much more in this wonderful conversation. As always, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. Andy, Deeze, and guests may own NFTs discussed.
This is Andy.
Yeah, I'm Deeze.
So today we are here with Natalie, aka Misshattan, who is a big photographer in the NFT space and a longtime friend and a good friend of all of our friends. It's like you're one of our favorite people's favorite person. So it is great to have you here and to vibe.
Thanks for having me. I mean, listen, I just want to do a little pod.
That's all we're trying to do here, just doing a little pod.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we got to clip that. We can turn that into something.
So we were in the elevator coming up, and 3 people were in the elevator that weren't us, and they asked us, like, "Are you going to record a podcast?" And we said, "Yeah, we were going to record one in the studio." And they're like, "Oh, what's the name of the podcast?" And I was like, "Oh, we do a little pod. It's like if you look on Twitter, you'll see a green background with a salute emoji." And they were like, pumped. They're like, "That's a great name."
They were into it.
They liked it. Like
the name is definitely good.
Like,
I didn't come up with it, so I feel okay.
It's not good. It's not good.
It's great.
Yeah,
it's
great.
It
really
felt
good.
natural because we were just taking this meme on Twitter to like the extreme. And it was like, we do a little tweeting, we do a little drinking water, we do a little whatever. And it was just like, that's kind of what the pod is. It's just a little bit of everything.
I love it.
And that's how I got
brilliant.
here.
It's going to be the next big pod.
I mean,
we'll see.
Here's hoping. We'll see.
I mean, at the end of the day, even if it is at the next big pod, it's like we're getting to know our friends so much better through sitting down for 2 hours with this on silent and like eye contact. And it's just a better personal relationship building exercise, even if we like never blow up or do anything big.
Yeah, like the people who we've had on the show, I feel like I know so much better now and like have a much more deeper understanding of who they are and how they got to where they're at than I would have ever had just like going to random happy hours for like NFT NYC or something.
Absolutely. And even like with Twitter Spaces, like I get so awkward and weird. I'm literally behind the phone like sweating. Like, what do I talk about? I'm choking up. But it's different when you have that real human connection.
Yeah, sometimes
IRL.
in space there's this awkward energy. There's like a gap of silence, and it's just like, I need to say something because it's
and then
weird. But
everybody says something at the same time, and it's just like that awkward.
And in person, you get a much better feel of like, oh, you're thinking, you're not actually done with your thought, or it's so much better. But to kind of give people an introduction and talk about you a little bit, let's start with not NFTs but photography. Yeah. How did you get into photography, and how long have you been like a photographer, basically?
So I was born a creative, right? Like I love to paint. I love art class. I loved sports too. Love to cook. I just love to make things. And, you know, as a kid, my parents had a film camera that I would occasionally take and snap some photos. And then 5th grade, my best friend Alexa and we found a video recorder and we started to make short videos of like our favorite movie scenes. Like we would act it out and get like her aunts and everyone in her family. So she lived in her grandmother's house, and you know, her mom was a young mom, and her mom had 5 sisters, and they're all hot Argentinian women. And they would jump in and do some roles with us. So we did everything from the water boy to like a ghetto Cinderella type of thing, like, cause we grew up in Queens, and that's like, we did like a Queens version of Cinderella, to Miss Doubtfire, to everything you could think of at the time. And that's how I kind of got into the love of just documenting things and documenting moments, even though it wasn't like, we were like, you know, we would make our own little scripts and have fun with it. it was just so cool that you can kind of go back to that and see what we did. Oh, look at what we did last summer. So that lasted for like 2 summers. And photography, honestly, like I always loved. And I went to school for finance. I graduated from Stony Brook University. From there, I got a job at JP Morgan, and I was working there for 3 years. Every day I'd bring my camera to work, like to and from work, taking pictures in New York City. I just loved it. And a friend of mine like told me to download Instagram. And I was like, all right. Like, he's like, yeah, you love photography. Just download it. Cool.
What year was this?
This was like 2012.
Nice.
Yeah.
Early on in Instagram.
Early on, before anyone wanted to be a quote unquote influencer or anything of that nature. And so I did, and I would just share my photography. And like, you know, back then there weren't that many photographers, especially on the platform. And people were reaching out to me all over the world. Like, oh my God, we love your photos. Like, we never get to see New York in this light. All you could see is what you find on Google Images, right? So to have a platform like that reached so many people globally was really, really special. My account started picking up, brands started noticing me, and I started working with Jaguar, and they hooked your girl up.
Let's go.
They would give me a car every weekend to mess around with, shoot. Flew me out to London for their, you know, car reveals. And, you know, I really got to work closely with the brand. Mind you, this is while I was still at JP Morgan. So one weekend I asked them, I was like, hey, I want a red F-Type. Dope. They got it for me, handed it to me after work, dropped the keys off, and I was in heaven. It was, you know, driving around in that car in New York City, everyone's breaking their neck. Everyone's trying to see, like, who is this? Like,
how's she in this car?
Yeah.
Who's
back then I was like 23, 24 years old. I'm like this young girl, like in this car. And I had so much fun with that car. I shot around New York City in the middle of the night, Sunday night. And I would park in the middle of Times Square. Cops would stop me and be like, what's what's going on here? And I'm like, I'm sorry, officer. I'd show them my camera. I'm just taking a quick picture. Mind you, it's like 4 a.m. And
4 a.m, you're in a very nice car.
Right.
Parked
in the middle, obnoxiously in the middle in Times Square.
Cops are just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm just taking a picture, officer. And they're like, nah, like, nice car. Like, how'd you get that car? And I was like, this is what
my
I
job.
do now. Right. Yeah. This is what I do. I convinced a cop to take a photo with me, arresting me, with the car in the background and the cop car. And like my IG caption was something like, I'm sorry, officer, if you wanted to drive it, I would have just given you the keys. Like they just arrested me to like drive the car around. But Jaguar loved that. So that night I was out shooting for Jaguar. I get home at 6 a.m. I shower and go straight to work. Right. And this was the one time I did not bring my camera to work. And I'm sitting at my desk and I was like, fuck. I was like, I just want to see the photos that I took yesterday. Like, what did I do? Like, why didn't I bring my camera out of all days? Right. I have the cop photo. I have middle of Times Square. I have downtown, everywhere you could think of. And it just hit me. I was like, what am I doing? I'm like, I'm going to quit my job. I turned to my friend Christine. I called her my work wife at the time. And I was like, Chris, like, I think I'm going to quit. And she's like, what? She's like, yo, you haven't slept. Like, go home, go to sleep, sleep it off.
Delirious right now.
Right. And see how you feel in the morning. And I was like, all right, that's smart. You're right. I'll sleep it off and see how I feel. Got back to my desk and like all of this like anxiety was like coming over me. I was like, what's going on here? Like, I can't be here. I can't do this anymore. I'm young. I have some money saved. Like, what's the worst that can happen?
I got a Jaguar car every weekend.
Right, right.
What more do I need?
And listen, like I was getting some good money with making photos for different brands, but it wasn't on a consistent level where like it's nice to have a consistent paycheck every week, right? For sure. But I ended up resigning that day, and really never looked back since.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And how long has it been since? Like,
I quit in, I believe, 2014 or 2015. So like what?
7 or 8 years.
7 or 8 years. Yeah.
Nice. Does it feel
Wild.
like a lifetime ago?
Oh my God. It feels like yesterday.
Really?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Can you just still picture being in the cubicle, the smells, the scenery?
Ah, gross.
Were you like doing like analyst type work or?
Yeah, I was in investment banking and
Yeah.
research department, so it wasn't anything exciting or fun.
Just grind a bunch of time
just
and
grind.
then hope you climb the ladder and become.
Yeah, and I was the youngest girl in the office,
Mhm.
and like that shit is scary, guys. Like you don't understand being a woman and like it wasn't even the men; it was like the other women, the older women that like I don't know, they were like sneaky. Like this, my manager at the time, she didn't give me a bonus, and then I went to my head, the guy that I worked for, and he was like, "No," he's like, "I gave you a great review. Like, why didn't you get a bonus?" And it was like this whole thing, and like I literally remember I went home that day after all of this like stuff happened. And I felt something weird in my foot when I was in bed. I smoked a little pot. I was like, let me unwind, relax, smoke some weed. And then like I felt a weird sensation on my feet and I like take off the covers and I see like my toes were like, how do I explain it? Like clenched, like they could, I had to like flatten them out. I was like, what is it? Like I was under so much stress that even my body was feeling it and I couldn't control it.
That's crazy. And you just knew like, I need to fuck out of here.
And I didn't even know then. I was just like, I need to figure out how to move in this space.
How do you think, did the finance background help at all with photography, or is there any overlay between like the skills that made you good at finance versus like the skills that maybe not even make you a good photographer, but just like an artist creator in general, and also making deals with other companies and making content for them as a freelancer? Like, how do you think the finance side helped? I
think that, first of all, I think every experience, whether you're working in finance or working at fucking McDonald's or wherever the fuck you're working, like everything teaches you something that you wouldn't have normally learned, right? It definitely taught me a lot of things. I learned how to connect with people from, all over the world in different ways. And, something as simple as a follow-up email. They don't teach you how to follow up in college. Like they don't, I know it's like little things like that are so, I know it sounds silly right now, but like a lot of young photographers, they don't know how to do these things. And it's because they never really got to experience it.
Do you feel like photography is a lot more competitive or saturated now versus where it was 5-10 years ago? Oh my God.
I was the only female photographer on social media at the time. Like it was rare to find. And it's a beautiful thing to like, that you can see other people kind of chasing their dreams and being able to do these things. Like when I quit my job, it was like this big thing. I remember I did a post online. I didn't tell my mom, I'm first generation immigrant, my parents sacrificed a lot and they wanted me to have a consistent job and for me to be a freelancer is like, no, like, what are you doing? So I didn't tell my mom. And then she read my like goodbye post, but I didn't like really say it. I was just talking about like new chapters. And she was like, did you quit your job? And I was like,
That's funny you should ask.
I was like, yes, I did. And that time I had a lot of jobs lined up for photography. Like I was traveling to LA to do another shoot for a brand. And so she understood and she was like, okay. She was like, you got this. Like you can do it. I only told my dad. My dad's like the entrepreneur, like take risks, do whatever. Like, I mean, hey, listen, if you think about it, like we're so privileged, like even though my parents are immigrants, like I knew that I was never going to live on the streets. Like I knew that I always had that. And some people don't have that. And that's the sad part. That's why I think it's so important for people to really, truly believe in their dreams and what they want to do, because the older you get, the more you see like there's possibilities everywhere you look around.
No, it's a great mindset. It's like being optimistic.
Yeah.
I feel like Andy's a great optimist. We talked about that before, but he's just like always optimistic, even if it doesn't look great.
I love it. I mean, listen, your mind attracts certain energy, right? I'm a firm believer in like manifestation. And if you're positive and you think good thoughts, good things will happen.
Yeah. Totally.
It's better. Okay.
I think like a big part of it too is just like having the confidence to be able to like be like, all right, maybe this isn't going so great right now, but like we'll figure it out. We'll get through it. We'll kind of build the plane while we're flying and do all that. I think it's really important.
Yeah, you have to, or else you're not going to make it.
It's better to be optimistic and wrong than like pessimistic and right, unless you have a massive short position on what you're pessimistic on. But even then, it doesn't feel great. Like, you're like, oh, I'm making money at the expense of other people losing a lot of money. Like, right. Not a good thing to be.
No.
But I feel like that's something too, where like going through this, kind of coming back to crypto a little bit and NFTs, like going through a market cycle and maintaining that optimism is something that is super important. And I've seen a lot of market participants over the last 3 to 6 months or so. We're recording this in September 21st. So whenever you're listening to this, it's been four-ish months since the Luna Terra debacle and the industry kind of going a bit south. But being optimistic is so important. And it's something that like comes up all the time. It's like, stop being pessimistic. Like, there's going to be good things to look forward to.
I mean, you could go down a bad rabbit hole. Like, if you're just, depression is a real thing. Yeah. It's not easy. So,
what was your introduction to NFTs? So you were really early to Instagram. And then how did you get NFTs?
Yeah. Well, I would say COVID brought me to NFTs, as it did a lot of artists, right?
God bless COVID.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting. When COVID happened, I was kind of like relieved because I was doing so much at the time that I was like, I just need a break. Yeah. And it was like a 24/7 slumber party. Like, I got a PlayStation. I learned how to play Call of Duty, and I'm like playing with all my friends, and it was fun. It was fun smoking weed all day, like cooking, like I was just home chilling. But yeah, and it got me into NFTs, because we all were on Clubhouse, right? And then people started talking about NFTs.
How did you find Clubhouse?
I don't know.
Not to cut off the NFT question, but like that's an important part because a lot of people got the Clubhouse.
Yeah, probably on IG or something. People
on IG.
Yeah, something on social.
Yeah. I feel like Clubhouse really fumbled the bag. I don't know.
They really did.
Does anyone use Clubhouse still? I'm sure people do.
Maybe people who invested in Clubhouse still use Clubhouse. Otherwise, they use Twitter Spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they'll make a comeback.
But anyway, Clubhouse was like, boom. There's a group of people here talking about these NFT things. Yeah. It's during COVID.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, was Clubhouse like January 2021-ish?
I would say around that time.
In my head, like Clubhouse era was like January through May of that year. And then Spaces came out in June. And then I was like all on Spaces. Right. And never on Clubhouse
it's just so much easier.
You're on Twitter all day anyway.
You're on Twitter.
So it's like, oh, like I wouldn't just join this thing that I'm on the app anyway.
Exactly.
So how did you get onboarded from Clubhouse to like minting?
So when I first learned about NFTs, I was like, nobody could pay me enough to sell my JPEGs. Like, fuck out of here. Like, that's my art. Like, I want to hold this and keep it for myself. Right. And then I started learning more about NFTs and the blockchain and how it can really change everything. It could change everything for everyone all over the world. And I was like, this is really fucking cool. And I remember I did my first mint on Foundation, I believe. Somebody gave me an invite to Foundation. I did it. And then I was like overthinking it because I was like, I'm an artist, and most artists, like, we are our worst critics. Like, we overthink things. And I was like, should I have minted that? I don't know if I want that. And I burned it. I was like, let me wait a little bit. Yeah. And around that time during COVID, so COVID at first started, obviously it was unfortunate that it happened, and, global pandemic is serious, but for me, somebody that was always on the move, it was nice for me to slow down. Then, 6 months in, you stop and you take a look back. You're like, what did I do in these past 6 months? Like, where did my life go? And then I started kind of falling into like a depression. Like, all of my jobs, I had 6-figure deals with brands to like do all these incredible things, and all of that was gone. And I fell into this like weird depression state of mind. And like I said, and that's what you attract like bad thoughts. And I was always overthinking NFTs. Like, what do I mint? What should I mint? I don't know what to do. And then came August, I was like, you know what? I'm going to really release a collection. I already had the collection I made it, 2 months in advance. I just didn't know when to release it. Like I said, overthinking. And it was my birthday. And I was like, a day after my birthday, I was like, I'm just going to mint this on OpenSea, do a collection. Did that. And then, cool. I was drinking a little, smoking. I was like, all right, this is fun. Playing some like 070 Shake in the background. Like it was a vibe. Then I like go on Twitter and I see there's a space that Will was in. Palm Tree God.
Okay, yeah. Will Nichols.
Will Nichols. And I've known Will for a really long time. Me and him were both ambassadors for Heineken, and we would go to all the Heineken festival, like all the festivals that Heineken was involved in. So like Coachella, Outside Lands, like every festival in the US that you could really think of. And I was like, oh, what's Will doing? And let's see what Will's up to. So I click on the space. They're talking about NFTs and da-da-da-da-da. Cool. I was really stoned at the time. And then somebody that was on the stage, they're like, oh shit, we have Misshattan in the room. And then my heart dropped. I was like, fuck. I was like, I hope they don't tell me to come on stage. Like, I'm not trying to do this right now. And they're like, Misshattan, come on stage. Like, you were there, right? Or no? You had to be there because you bought into Flight Club.
I was like, was it all happened at the same time?
It all happened at the same time. It all happened at the same time. So I was like, oh my God, like, no, like, I don't want to go on stage. And then it was quiet. They're like, we're not going to talk until Misshattan gets on stage. We know you hear us. I took a deep breath and I was like, all right, accept. Went on stage and they're like, so, tell us about like, what's going on with you? We see right now that you just released a collection. And I'm talking about the collection, and this collection was an aerial collection of me dangling my feet in different skylines. Yeah. So like we kind of started that trend back in 2014 when this aerial company reached out to me. They weren't doing so well in business wise, and they loved my photography, and they're like, hey, do you want to fly with us? Sure. And then we fly in open door helicopters, and we started dangling our feet, and it would do so well on social media because nobody was doing anything like that at the time. Right. Like this is even before I did aerial photography, I would do urban exploration, like climbing different roofs and all that stuff. Yeah. And even at that time, nobody was even doing that. You were just getting different perspectives of the city, which was cool. Then the dangle of the feet era came, and I was like, you know what? Nobody has as many shots of these as I do. And I, as a collector, I grew up collecting sneakers. Yeah. So it was like my love for both things, combined. And I was like, all right, so I have my
talk
sneakers.
About sneakers at some point.
Yeah,
Flight
absolutely.
Club, like what a good name too. Like,
yeah. So I talked about it a little bit, fumbled on my words, like really nervous, like choking up. I was like, and all of a sudden, like everything was getting bought, like everything. Like,
how many are in the collection?
And not a lot, 30. There were 30, but it happened so fast. Like within the 5 minutes, like everyone was buying one. And it just, at the time, like I said, I was like kind of going through a little depressing state of mind where I was like, I haven't been working and everything shut down. Like what's going on? Like, it was fun and games at first, but now it's like, what am I doing? And it gave me that light again. I was like, wow. I'm like, this is a real thing. And that's how my NFT journey started.
That August was a crazy time.
I know.
I was hosting spaces like 12 hours a day. We were watching everything go up, all the collections come out. It was like probably one of the most fun months of NFTs ever.
Yeah, it was so
It was the
wild.
month we launched Fractional. Like we launched the last week of July, and then like
it was total insanity.
We weren't anticipating that month to happen, and it was just like, whoa, what the fuck? Like that is possible. And I feel like that was such a good, like you timed it pretty well. Even though you said like, hey, I was a little nervous. It was like
a little. Good. I was sweating. It was like I was playing a full court basketball game. Like I was sweating. Like it was a lot. But yeah, no, it was an interesting experience. And that's when I connected with certain people, and it was fun. It was like a new thing, a new outlet.
Did you have a lot of friends from Instagram come over to NFTs, or did you see a lot of people just stay there and not, like, you see the environment issues come up and you see people just making excuses one way or another, whether it's like, oh, I'm doing fine with Prince. Probably not. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah. I definitely saw some friends, and shout out to JN Silva, Jose. I've known Jose since 2012 when we all were on IG and linking up to do our photo walks.
Jan's awesome.
He's honestly, there's nobody could say anything bad about Jose.
No.
Like, he is the kindest. Like, he can be so busy too and still give you time, and like, he's just such a great friend. I'm really grateful to have known him over the years. And yeah, he introduced a lot of us into the NFT space. So shout out to Jose.
No, he's definitely somebody. He kind of reminds me of our friend Redbeard, where like, no matter how busy they are with kids, their family, all their commitments, it's like they always have time somehow to like talk to you about something deep.
Yes. And back in 2017 when crypto was kind of taking off, Jose was like trying to tell us like, buy into crypto. And I'm like messaging him, what do I buy? What do I buy? I put in like 10 grand in like Bitcoin and a few other things. And I was like, cool, whatever. We'll see what happens. Then 10 grand went to 1 grand. And I was like, fuck. I was like, you know what? Fuck this. You guys could keep my $1,000. And I deleted the app. And then, during COVID, when everyone's talking about crypto, I was like, forgot password. I was like, listen, I smoke pot. And listen, there's a lot of downsides to smoking weed. Like, you forget a lot of things.
Andy works with me.
Yeah. It's not
we
good.
We recently brought somebody new on the team, and she had said something along the lines of like, we had a conversation. I forgot about it. And then we were hanging out in Croatia at this offsite and forgot about a conversation again. And she's like, yeah, I'm just used to it with you now. Like, she knew like after working with me for like 10 days to just like might have to have the conversation again.
Right.
Just got to run it back a couple times.
But it's like good you remember, like as a pothead, you'll remember it at some point. Like you might be 4 a.m. in the dead of sleep and like something will come up to you. Like I had a tax thing that I got sent in August, a K1 for a development. And like 2 nights ago, I woke up at 4 or 5 a.m. on the central thing. First thing I thought about was this email I ignored a month ago. And then I like sent it to my accountant. It's like, it's just pothead things.
Yeah. But I definitely I abused it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
do you still abuse it, or are you better?
No, I'm better now, which is good. Like, I think you have to find balance with everything. Like, there's a lot of vices out there, and smoking weed is not a bad thing, and I remember everyone 10 years ago, I would never tell anyone that I was smoking weed. Like, anyone who wasn't a smoker, I wouldn't really talk about it.
Yeah.
Although I'd probably be stoned at the time. Because like people look at you in a different light. Now looking back where I was like, all right, let me cut down. Looking back, I'm like, damn, like I did a lot. But I could have done so much more if I wasn't always stoned, and that's the thing of being your own boss, right? It's like, you don't have anybody telling you what to do. So it's like, all right, let me just take a hit of this. And I'm a creative. Let me go walk around and take pictures and listen to music and,
It's different with the pods in the morning. I feel like the morning is my few hours of not. It's like, all right, anything that's important, writing especially.
Right.
Like, let's do this in the morning. And then the noontime hits, the space hits. Then it's like, all right. With the podcast, it's like, we got to start early.
Right.
We have this at 10. All right. 9 o'clock. But yeah, I think that is something that I probably struggle with more, is being always responsible, because there are times where you have it. You're just like, fuck it.
You have it. It's there. I like the act of smoking.
Yes.
I wouldn't necessarily say I like being high all the time, although it does feel nice. And I love doing things a little stoned or eating, especially. Obviously, I'm a foodie.
We got to talk more about food and sneakers.
Yeah, I'm a big food and sneaker person, so I feel like we get along.
Okay, yeah.
What are your, we'll talk about pot more, but going to food, what are your favorite foods? Favorite food to cook?
Favorite foods to cook? Anything. I'm a freestyle cooker.
Okay.
You know,
So you should be on one of those like shows where they just put you in the
I'm
kitchen.
dying to be on one of those shows.
If anyone here is casting for any of those shows, please
hit me
her
up. Hit me up.
Freestyle. So
yeah, so whatever's in the fridge, and like I said, like, you know, smoke a little pot, and you're like, you get creative, and you just chef it up, and you make whatever you have, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have like, it's so hard for me to pick a favorite food. Like, it depends on, I'm such a foodie.
Oh, it depends on the
like,
mood.
right? Like,
Sometimes
I want Chinese
sushi,
food. I want
Chinese,
right.
sometimes-
I want Italian pizza.
Yeah.
Like, what?
what's the mood tonight? Like what's the vibe?
Tonight.
It's a Wednesday night in the city.
I'm craving like Chinese food. I've been craving chicken and broccoli for the past couple of days.
Yeah.
What type of sauce?
Well, so
The regular,
yeah, just the
either
chicken-
yeah,
oh,
the
I'm a
regular,
beef and broccoli guy personally.
You're beef
but-
and broccoli. Yeah. I see. I love eating Chinese food with a group because then you can when you have the
100%.
plate of everything, you got
Yeah.
the lo mein, you got
Yeah, like a little like kung pao chicken.
ooh,
Yeah.
but I see. I won't order that as my own thing.
Yeah. I like really spicy food.
Okay.
It's funny. Like,
Do you like garlic sauce? The garlic sauce that
Yeah.
they make.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
So funny. Like I was really. I mean, I'm a very like pasty white man who normally am not good with spicy food. But there was like this deal that Chipotle had a long time ago where they had like this. It was like this crazy fucking thing where if you ate at Chipotle and like got it marked on a thing, I think it was like 40 times over the course of a summer, you would get a free Chipotle party for like 20 people. And also like every fourth meal was free. And I was like just out of school.
Fourth meal?
Yeah, every fourth meal was free.
Wow.
It was a really good deal. And I was like just out of school, dead broke. And
This is some Jersey shit.
This-
This is not some regular
Paid for
Yeah,
30
exactly.
meals.
So,
got
like-
40 meals worth and a party for 20.
Yeah, and so so basically, it was like working my first job, and so every day on my way home from work, I would just pick up Chipotle because I love eating good food. I do not like cooking. I like eating out. I like trying new stuff, but I'm not the best cook. I try to stay away from it. And so I was picking up food for dinner every night just on my way home from work. And so like, all right, fuck it, I'm going to do this. And so I'd go to Chipotle. I actually had more than the like amount of meals that I needed to have at Chipotle. But after a while,
two
I was like, all
parties.
right, I got to mix it up. Like I can't just eat the same chicken burrito bowl every single night.
Right.
And so I just kept putting more and more hot sauce on it. And like literally that summer, I got into spicy food just because of this like stupid Chipotle thing.
That is so
And like ever
funny.
since then, I'm like super into hot sauce now and really into really spicy food. But for like most of my life prior to that, I was like really, really bad with spicy food.
Do you like that show Hot Ones?
Oh yeah, they have like there's a hot sauce store in Williamsburg called Heatonist,
And they have it.
and they sell like the 10 packs of those, and so like we buy those.
Oh,
every
the 10
season.
packs of each brand?
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that's
And so it's fun
smart.
because then you can get it and you can like do your own hot
Yeah,
ones and stuff.
yeah.
And let me tell you, so there's this one that I have. It's called Firewater, and so
It sounds
I'm good.
like it's going to
it's actually really good. It's really smoky, which is nice.
Okay.
But there was one time during COVID actually, where I was like trying to be healthier, and so I'd made like just grilled chicken, and I accidentally put like way too much of this sauce on it, and I have like a very distinct memory of sitting at my computer desk, literally crying while I ate chicken. I'm just eating this like really shitty grilled chicken because I'm not good at cooking. That's covered in hot sauce, crying to the point where I went and got a Greek yogurt so I could like in between
Oh, you
bites.
need that. You need that.
Yeah.
You
That's
need
me
Greek
like the
yogurt.
first time I got conned into this 2x spicy ramen. I had
Mm.
posted on
Oh,
Twitter,
yeah.
like, I love Shin. I think it's called Shin Black.
hmm
It's like this really good spicy ramen. And somebody else was like, oh no, there's a spicier one. You got to get it. So just order it and you try it. And it's the most abrasive spice. Like you put it in your mouth and you're, like you said, crying and your nose is just
Yeah.
on fire. Like, why am I doing this?
See, that's not fun to me. It's not
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like spicy food that makes me like cry normally. Like I would say the crying while eating chicken was like not my finest moment.
Right.
But I do like to get like that tingly sensation and kind of have it like make you feel like the tiniest bit uncomfortable.
yeah,
But anything more than that, I'd rather not.
It's a nice like nasal cleanse.
it is.
Like,
Yeah.
especially like horseradish.
Yes.
You just get a lot of that.
Yes.
Big fan of like the horseradish and the cocktail sauce with the oyster.
oh yeah.
But there's been times where I
Ooh.
just like take some of the horseradish off the top and just put it on, and it's like, oof, cleans it.
I like it.
I feel like
Do you have a favorite restaurant?
Like I said, that's like
Depends on
telling
the
me
mood.
what my favorite. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
favorite
depends on
Chinese
my
restaurant
mood.
in
Oh my
in the
god!
city.
All right, I don't tell this. I don't tell everyone this.
That's all right.
we could cut it. So
yeah, we
like,
can bleep it out.
No,
If we
no,
need
no.
to.
You can let the people.
we don't
know.
want to give the all.
You
the
could let
alpha.
the people
Yeah.
know. You
All
could
right.
let the people know. I like Joe's Ginger down
Joe's
in
Ginger.
Chinatown.
Okay.
They have Joe Shanghai, same kind of owner, which Joe Shanghai like blew up. Everybody knows about. Everybody goes long lines. Same food, if not maybe to me a little better.
Okay.
Down the block, Joe's Ginger.
Joe's Ginger. All right.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Conveniently located
Yeah.
in Chinatown, where it should be if it's the best Chinese food. Right?
Yeah, I took my fiance and his friend there, and you know, he knows I'm a foodie, and this is when we first started dating, and I met his friend for the first time, and I was like, you guys, let's go eat in Chinatown, like my favorite spot. His friend's a foodie. So we go there and we're sitting down and nobody's paying attention to us, like none of the servers or anything. And every time I try to flag somebody down, they're like rude and like
that's how you know it's good Chinese.
That's how you know it's good Chinese. That's how you know it's good Chinese.
Yeah.
Peter was looking at me like, what are we doing here? And then the food came and he's like, wow. I was like, all right, this is
Wait, what place like that in Columbus, Ohio, where like they have a menu that's just in Chinese? And like the first time I walked in, I was scared and intimidated. But then after eating there, I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
This is why it was so good. Like they didn't even speak English.
Yeah.
right.
And just delicious.
Yeah.
That's how you know.
Lately I've been craving carbone.
Spicy
I haven't
rig.
been yet.
You really should go.
I know.
It's really good.
I know. I'm gonna have to
It's
go.
that's one of those ones where I hadn't gone for a long time. I'm like, oh, I'm sure it's like overrated.
Yeah.
I felt that way about like Peter Luger's, where it's
Yeah.
like it's really good, but there's better steak.
You know what? Everybody loves Peter Luger's. I love Peter Luger sauce. It's
Yeah.
slamming.
The potatoes are good too.
No,
I
no.
like the potatoes.
Potatoes are good. They have German potatoes, but they don't have mashed potatoes.
Yeah,
and that bothers me because like you're eating this heavy buttery steak and then you're eating this like overly buttery or oily German potatoes. I don't know. I need like something creamy to balance it. And they don't have mashed potatoes. So instead I go to Wolfgang's.
I'm a big
Oh,
fan
yeah.
of the twice baked potato.
Oh, that's good too.
Because it's like the best of both worlds.
Listen, don't get me wrong. I love potatoes in
Yeah.
any way, but I'm just saying when you
I get
have a
that's fair.
steak,
No,
like,
I like to just get the potatoes by themselves. Like
Oh,
you can
wow.
get it like frozen to go.
have you ever had their burgers?
I've heard it's really good.
Yeah, they
I
only
have
serve it
not.
from like 12:30 to like 2.
Yeah, I haven't. I live in Williamsburg, so moderately
Okay.
close.
Right.
But I've just never made it over.
Oh,
for
you
lunch.
gotta
That's
get
a weird
burger.
burger window. It's like happy hour for burgers.
I know.
Yeah.
Well,
I feel like a few steak places do that.
I guess it makes sense. Like
Well, they
after a
want you-
certain time, they
right.
want you to pay $100+ for whatever.
exactly.
They don't want you to get it. I remember my first time in like Indianapolis. I went to a place called St. Elmo's, which is this like steakhouse that's known there. And I was with my dad, and it was like, I can't afford to tell my dad that like I want the ribeye that's $70.
Right.
So like they made me like a chip chopped Philly steak for like $18. So I was like,
That sounds pretty
perfect.
good.
But
I
like
love that.
being a kid, it was like, yeah, I can't get this steak for
Yeah.
50+
I
bucks.
see. That tells me a lot about you and your personality, which I respect that. Because growing up, I had a sneaker. Like I loved sneakers, and I couldn't tell my parents every week that a new Jordan was dropping, and can I get $150 to go
Yeah.
cop it? You know. So I got my first job when I was 12.
Nice.
Just to support my sneaker habit and not bother my parents with it.
What's your favorite silhouette?
I would say the 7s.
I like that.
I would
I'm
say
not
the
as much of a
sevens.
Jordan guy. I wear like ones just because I mean they're
Everyone wears ones.
Iconic.
yeah. I'm more of like dunks and a lot of
Okay.
like the skate skate
SBs?
stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
stuff like that. And then like I don't wear as much Adidas stuff anymore. I feel like there was a period of time back
So-
in
Stan
2016,
Smiths.
2017.
Yeah. I was very brand loyal to Nike, right? Like
Yeah, I respect that.
Yeah.
What made you loyal to them?
I grew up wearing Jordans and Nikes. Like it was
Yeah.
a part of the culture in Queens. Like you could tell a lot about a person with what they're wearing on their feet.
Mhm.
Like you could tell like, do I fuck with you or are you just like a regular person?
I'm glad I'm wearing Nike.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right?
I think we're all
now,
in
now it
Nikes,
doesn't
yeah.
apply. Now it doesn't
Well,
apply
it's like-
the older you
We're
get.
all in Nike, so it's fine.
Right,
Mhm.
right. But then in like 2017, Adidas hit me up and they're like, "Hey, can you shoot for us?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, but I can't really like share. Like, I don't want to be in a bet. Like, I work with Nike. Like, I can't." And they're like, "No. We just want to hire you for your photography and like shoot for us and da 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 da." Great. I flew out to Nebraska, and I shot for what's the football team out there? The college.
Nebraska?
The Nebraska Huskers? Or
The Huskers. Huskers?
Corn
Yeah.
Huskers?
Yeah. So I shot for them, which was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
And I get back to the hotel and Adidas hooked me up with like the whole bed was filled with Adidas gear.
Oh, that's sick.
Everything, like tracksuits and cozy wear and 3 different types of sneakers, maybe 4 or 5. Like there's so many things. And I was like, damn, what am I going to, I'm like, all right, I'll give these to my mom. Like, you know, then I was like, you know, let me wear these to the gym.
Were there any Ultra Boosts in there?
That's what it was.
They're so
it was
comfy.
the old,
Yeah.
yo, I'm mad at Nike. They played me because all these times, like over the years, I'm like walking around, my feet hurt. Like Jordans are not comfortable.
No, they're not comfortable.
That's why I like the 7s.
Yeah,
the 7,
yeah.
I'm wearing 6s right now.
Yeah.
They're to me, they're the most comfortable, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, wow, these Ultra Boosts it's like I'm walking on clouds. Like this
Yeah.
is so nice. So then, yeah, I had to cop a few.
That's
I copped,
fair.
like
I was-
all black ones.
That was the first Adidas shoe that I really thought was comfortable.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I still have. That's what I wear every day for a Lindy walk. Is Ultra Boost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I recently have gotten really into New Balance. Well, not that
Okay.
recently, but I've they're probably them and Nike is what I wear the most right now.
Yeah.
But I feel like New Balance they're a firmer sole than like Ultra Boost, but I feel like they're super super comfy.
Yeah.
Give you like a lot of good support and stuff.
No, like I said, now it doesn't really like now you could really wear anything. And
Yeah.
it's just different. When you're a kid, you're like only Jordan, only
Yeah.
Nike.
So were you
only-
like going and lining up for the drops and stuff like that, or?
lining up? I was friends with all the people at Jamaica Avenue,
Oh,
and
so
they
there
were
you go.
hooking me
Yeah.
up. They were like, they would have it on the side.
Yeah, I didn't have that luxury. I remember back in so when I graduated from school in 2016,
Okay,
and like that was right when Ultra Boosts were like crazy.
right.
I was writing my own bot for like Supreme and all that stuff. And so I was botting all like the Kith and Supreme and Palace drops and all the like Adidas
Yeah,
and
shout out
Nike
to
drops.
kids. Shout out to Ronnie. Ronnie grew up in Queens. He grew up
Yeah.
with my sister. So
Ronnie's
yeah,
great.
Yeah. So seeing all the stuff that he does like a lot of really cool colorways for it's
Oh.
New Balance too, right?
Yeah.
He does everything.
I have a lot of Kith,
Yeah,
Kith
dope.
New
I like
Balance
those
stuff.
salmon toed ones. I always go back.
Yeah,
to
well, I
those.
got those when I bought the Invisible Friend collab that they did.
Yeah.
I bought the New York City Kith Invisible Friend, and it came with a pair of salmon toes. And like they asked for my size, and I was like, oh, I'm a 10.5. And they're like, hey, we don't have any more of those that are new, but Ronnie has a personal pair of 11s that he's never worn.
Wow.
Do you want those? And I was like, yes, 100% I want
You
those.
can't wear them.
So I have a pair that was like from Ronnie's private collection. That's slightly too big for me, but they actually fit okay. But that's like a total grail for me now. Like,
Wow.
Now
Yeah.
we're gonna have him on the podcast and he'll like sign it for.
Yeah.
I mean, one day.
We're just manifesting. We're just doing a little manifesting.
I mean, grow the pot a little bit. I'll put in the good word.
All right.
Just, you
we'll,
know?
There
we'll
we
get
go.
there.
Yeah, I got you guys.
I feel like for me, I didn't get into fashion stuff until it's kind of like art. I didn't get into any of those 12 NFTs because I didn't have money. It's like
right.
I would buy rep sneakers on Reddit because you get Yeezys for $50, and like I could get the Travis Scott AJ ones for $100, and it's like I'm not gonna pay $1,500 resale. That's like my paycheck.
Right.
I just can't do it. And then it wasn't until like NFTs where it was like, oh, like I can have a collection.
Yeah.
Like,
actually,
I remember like 9 months ago it hit me. I'm like, I'm just wearing the same pair of Ultra Boosts I've been wearing for like a year and a half, and I haven't bought like any shoes. So I slowly started getting more involved.
You know
with,
what? You're better off.
It's good.
You're
It's bad
It's good.
when the sneakers
Fine.
app gives you that notification and you're like, oh, I'm gonna enter this.
Yeah,
And, like
dude.
you don't even need it, but you're just like, oh,
Right.
but I can win.
I what if I win? Yeah.
Was I telling
uh,
you the story about these shoes
oh,
I'm
yeah.
wearing right now? I
Oh,
entered,
those are dope.
I entered the raffle on the app for
I like
both.
your socks too. Sorry.
Oh, thank you.
Dope.
I entered the the app, and I entered for both colorways, and within like 2 minutes, I won both, and it was like, oh no, like
Oh no. Oh no.
it's
no,
one of those
no,
things where
no,
like you're
no.
entering all the raffles, just hoping that like you win one of them, like you don't really want both, and then when they both got to me, it was like, wow, like people must hate these. Like you
Yeah.
never win 2 raffles on the
Yeah,
same
it's a
day.
bad sign.
In the
That is a
sneakers
terrible
app.
sign.
So I look them up on like StockX. I'm like, holy shit, they're already trading at like a 30% discount than
Ah.
MSRP. But I like them. Like it's
No,
one of those
all
I
things.
that
like them a
matters.
lot.
I just kept them because so much of
Yeah.
my wardrobe is now this like combination of purple and yellow.
It's a really nice colorway.
Yeah.
I'm really into that.
Yeah, the hardest thing with sneakers in New York is I just don't have enough space. Like they're all
Yep.
in a closet, they're all over the place. I need like
I actually display my sneakers like art where I obviously I spent the money. It's like 20. How much does it cost for those clear boxes? Whatever. Shout out to the container
It's
store.
worth it.
It's
keeps
worth it. It keeps
100%.
everything there. And then I just stack them up to the ceiling. So I have like rows and stacks. And I see all my sneakers, and it's like my art. And people come and they're like, "Damn, like, oh, you got these." It's a part of part
Yeah.
of me.
Do you have like a little ladder next to it? I can see like
No
it's like a
ladder.
library. We're like, wait,
Right.
you're like a Dewey Decimal System. You're
Right,
like,
right.
I need to get this shoe.
It is hard for me to reach. Like I have the Yeezys up top. And I'm like,
Mhm.
it's hard for me to reach those, but I have a stepping stool.
There you
Yeah.
go.
I was gonna
Stepping
say.
stools, yeah.
I feel like in New York, I'm always stressed about ruining my shoes. Like, I mean, not stressed, but like, it's a different vibe. In
Yeah.
Ohio, I don't think of it that much. I think because I
Right.
just drive everywhere.
Right.
Whereas like here, you're walking everywhere.
And
There's
dirt-
trash
dirt everywhere. Yeah.
Like that might have been a
Just dog shit on the
pissed
floor.
that-
See,
yeah.
I have so many sneakers that none of them get dirty because I like keep them in rotation. You know what I mean?
How do you
Yeah, and then
clean
you
them?
eventually get to a pair where you're like, you know what, these are just like my everyday pair now.
Yeah.
And like, you know, if they get dirty, and they get
Right.
ruined, I'll buy another
They
pair.
Right.
become grass cutting
Yeah.
shoes. For
But yeah,
me.
I totally know what you mean. Like, and,
Yeah.
and if you just like wash them like once a month or something, you're wearing each pair like once or twice maybe, and it's not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was someone who never took care of my shoes. I was just like, I stepped in shit. They're done.
Right, you just like
Yeah.
wipe it on the grass.
Like, I was just like, yeah,
You
basically.
keep walking.
Fuck it. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't until I started collecting them that I was like buying the Mr. Clean magic erasers.
Yeah.
and, like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you gotta.
After a trip out to New York, buffing them.
Yeah. You got to keep them fresh.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it makes you respect it more
Yeah.
when you're taking care of it like that.
Absolutely.
Do you have? So I know you said your favorite silhouette is sevens. Do you have a favorite pair or like a grail pair?
I still have them. They're falling apart, but I have the citrus sevens.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Is that what they're called?
I think so.
Yeah, the citrus sevens. Yeah, the red and orange, all black.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have those when they first dropped. So I was like probably in 7th grade.
And they still fit you and everything.
They still fit me. Yeah. I'm the same size. I still have all my sneakers from my mom actually told me yesterday, me and my fiance like just bought a beach house and she's like, can I bring all your sneakers and stuff? I'm like, all right. I was like, fine, just bring them. But yeah, I still have them. They're just, not in the best.
Yeah.
They fall apart. They like disintegrate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do your parents still have the old home videos you used to make?
Alexa does. My friend does. She actually she went to Costco and they did digitalize them
Nice.
for you. So we have them in CDs and I have them. It's really embarrassing. I don't think I'll ever release that to anyone.
When's the last time you went back and watched it?
During COVID. She sent me them during COVID and it's so funny. Like maybe I'll show you a clip or something after. You guys are gonna be like, "What?" It was pretty creative. Like we did like Freddy Krueger, and you remember like the effects that they would have on the video cameras, where like you had different effects.
Mhm.
We did. We also had Blair Witch, where like the black and white or whatever the green. What's it called? I don't know. Night vision. There you go.
The night vision
Simple.
goggles.
Night vision. Yeah. So we got creative with it. So,
That's fun.
yeah.
Have you ever? Have you ever done like video stuff, or has it always been photography?
Yeah.
Do you have a?
No,
Yeah.
I do. I do video stuff. I want to get more involved in that. I have a lot of friends in LA, directors and stuff like that want me to move out there to like to really dive into it. But I work here, and my whole life is here. My fiance is here. Everything's here, and now I just do like projects for certain brands and stuff. Like I work heavily with like the Empire State Building, and I'll make their videos, and I'm working on a video project now for Canon that's going to be released in I think next month. So yeah, I always have something kind of going on with that.
Yeah, and not to assume, because I don't know you that well.
Yeah.
You seem very New York. I'm not sure how great of a time you'd have in LA compared to New York.
Yeah, I love LA. I really do. But I don't know. There's something about here being in New York. Like the older I get, the winters are tough. Like you really feel it in your bones. You're like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah,
Fuck.
last February, I was saying to my fiance, I was like, I don't think I can do another February in New York. I think we got to go somewhere. We got to get an Airbnb or something.
At least for the month. Or,
just get out for a little bit, because it does drain you after a while. It's
in
a
LA,
lot.
you just have to find your tribe. You have to find your people.
Yeah, I think that was my experience in LA, because I know Deeze has really liked his time in LA.
Yeah.
I was there, and I stayed in like Venice area, and I
Okay.
actually really liked
I
like
love
the
Venice.
Abbot Kinney area. It was like right at the end of Abbot Kinney, the north side.
Yeah.
And it was a really nice area, but like to me, the hard part is I'm so accustomed to how easy it is to get around the city. And part of that's just because I've been here for a while, and I grew up 30 minutes right outside of the city. And so it's very natural to me. And so like the subway is super easy for me, not intimidating. I can generally get wherever I want pretty quickly, especially in Williamsburg. Like the L train can get you anywhere pretty fast. And we were like let's go get Korean barbecue. And it was like a 2-hour Uber ride to go get Korean barbecue in LA. And it was just like, all right, this is like kind of a pain in the ass sometimes.
Oh yeah.
My experience. Oh,
No, go for it. I was just going to say, like, you kind of, when you're there, you kind of have to learn like how the traffic works and where to go at what time. You kind of have to like schedule your plans around that, right?
Yeah, and like probably just like live more in like whatever pocket of area you live in. Yeah.
Right.
Biggest alpha I had for someone who'd never been to LA is that when you get out of LAX, you have to order an Uber Black and not a normal Uber, because there's a parking lot you have to walk to for the normal Ubers, but the Blacks will pick you up right on the curb and take you right on the highway.
Wow.
My first time in LA, I didn't get that. And then the second time, somebody there was like, no, you just get Uber Black. It'll take care of you.
I always get a car rental. I never, ever take Ubers around in LA. Just because, I mean, think about it. Think about all the Ubers that you're taking around all day long. Like, I'm a driver, even in New York. Like, I grew up in Queens, and now in Manhattan, I drive. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Wait, did you drive here?
I didn't drive here.
Okay.
I actually live like 3 blocks away.
Oh, nice.
Perfect.
Yeah. So it's super convenient.
That's awesome.
But typically, like, if this was downtown and after 7, I'd be like, oh, I'm getting in the car. We just drive there. Like I said, you have to kind of know these things, and you know.
So you mentioned earlier very quickly that prior to doing helicopter stuff, you were doing urban exploring.
Yeah.
We literally talked with Emmett, who
cool.
Yeah, just like he was the one yesterday afternoon who we spoke with. And that was like super, super eye-opening for me. I really didn't know very much about it other than like following Drift's story a little bit.
Yeah.
How long were you doing that for? Like, was that a big part of your photography?
That was a really big part of my photography. I like my office building, 383 Madison Avenue. I was on like one of the higher floors. I loved shooting the city from that, and especially like sunset and sunrise. Like, I'd be there all the time, and like I was like, wow, this is really nice. But there comes a point that you're like, all right, I need a different perspective. So then you start going on rooftops, like, you know, different restaurants or bars. And then you're like, wait, but this building looks like it would have a view of this. Like, can I get into that building? And so I would do that for a while. And I think being a female really helped me, because nobody really like stopped me or questioned me. I would just kind of walk and do my own thing, and, you know, nobody would ever stop me. But then with that, you kind of meet other people who are into that vibe as well. So it's like you're immersed in this community that's like, yo, I know this one spot, or yo. And it was always like a competition. Like, you want to get to a spot that nobody's been to.
And you don't want to tell people because then it's going to be blown up, and everyone's going to be, and then it's shut down. And that happens all the time. Like, I remember the one spot that I found was, like a perfect photo of the Flatiron Building. It was like, just get it straight on. And I posted it literally the next week. So many people went there. Now it's like, you know, nobody, they have security. Nobody can go there. So it's definitely different.
And how did you then like transition to the helicopter stuff?
So while I was working in finance, this aerial brand reached out to me. They weren't doing so well with business.
Oh, right. Yeah. You mentioned
that was the first time you ever flown in a helicopter, is when they reached out, or had you experienced it?
Flown once when I was a kid. I remember
but no like aerial pictures from a helicopter.
No aerial, right? No aerial pictures before a helicopter. And this is different. This is like doors off, right? Or at least at that time we would open the doors. So my first flight was like in January, I believe, 2014. Okay. And freezing cold. It was so cold. Like, literally my eyes, I was like crying, but it would freeze on my face. Like, I looked a hot mess, and it was the winds hitting you. Like, it's a lot. But I'm never going to forget that moment when they like opened the door, and the Empire State Building is like kind of beaming at you, and you're like, holy shit, this is incredible. This is insane. So then I built a relationship with that company, and they always invited me up. And then I kind of took the role as like their brand ambassador, and I would do a lot of like fun things in the helicopters, giveaways, and all that. We would do the dangling of the feet, which turned into a big thing. And then when it did turn into a big thing, everyone was starting to do it. And then they were like, we don't want you to do it anymore. And I was like, what do you mean? I was in Vegas and I had heels on. It was like my birthday or whatever. And I was dangling my feet, and I was like, I want to post this. And they're like, no, we can't, you can't. can't post. And I was like, you guys don't own me. Like, what,
Yeah.
what is going on here? It was actually this one guy. He's no longer with the company, but he would like, you know, try to manipulate the situation. And then like my connection with them kind of drifted away. I still work with them here and there, but it wasn't like that beginning era, those first like 2 years when I was like actively pushing for aerial photography.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just kind of became one of these things that like every city that I travel to, I have to get in a helicopter and I have to see it from the sky.
How many helicopter rides do you think you've been on now?
So I've definitely been on a lot. When I like look at my files on my computer, that's the only way that I can really count because I didn't keep track. I have over 425 folders. Wow. And this was like 6 months ago, so it definitely increased since then. But yeah, no, there have been times like I've worked with Canon and I've been in a helicopter with like I've flown 5 times in a day with their press people and stuff like that, showing them Vegas from the sky, like all these different places. Yeah.
Where's your favorite city that you've flown over?
Okay. I mean, listen, New York is special.
Yeah,
New York is home. And New York is beautiful. I definitely flown here the most, and you know, I love it. But I would have to say next to New York, it would be Hong Kong.
I'm sure that's really cool.
Hong Kong is insane. It's like New York on steroids. Like crazy. You see all these like apartment complexes just coming at you. Like
it's like ants everywhere.
Yeah.
Ants you don't even see. Like it's just, the buildings are wild. Like how do they build so many buildings and like all over on a mountain? Like it's just so incredible. Definitely one of my favorite flights for sure. I've flown there maybe 2 or 3 times.
That's really cool.
Are there any places on your like top to go to list right now that you haven't been to that you definitely want to fly over? And maybe that's alpha, maybe not something to leak, but
honestly, I want to go back to Hong Kong and fly at night. I haven't flown at night because you know, I don't know if you know the cityscape there. It's just they have so many buildings and it's so incredible. I've done Japan, I've done Tokyo, I've done so many places, to be honest. I guess, you know, what's next on my list, I'm really into like fine art photography, prints and stuff like that. That's before NFTs. That's what I was doing a lot. I was selling prints. I was, you know, my work was being shown around different hotels in the city and stuff like that. So I really do like the beach vibe from the sky, like whether it's surfers or just like the same color umbrellas. Like I just love the way that looks. And I have never flown in Italy. And that's something that I definitely want to do and get like all the beaches out there.
Yeah. I feel like Italy in general would be a great place. I was there relatively recently.
Oh, sweet.
And like, see, you could do the beaches and you could do like the hills, like the rolling hills in Tuscany and stuff. You could get some cool stuff.
Yeah. And
Lake
the street
Como.
photography there is insane. Like everyone there has so much like character and
each
person has a story to tell. It's
and the architecture in Europe, like it's just, it doesn't even compare to
I want to also do Barcelona. I haven't flown in Barcelona.
I lived in Barcelona for all of August.
Oh, wow.
And so I could totally see that'd be a cool one.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to like get aerial. So have you been there before?
I have.
Like doing the Park Güell or whatever it is. That'd be really, really cool to get aerial.
That would be
and
dope.
like even some of like obviously like La Sagrada and all of that.
Oh yeah.
Like all of that kind of stuff would be really, really cool.
Did they finish building that? It's close.
No,
right?
but it's close. I think it's 2026 is what they said when we were there.
I don't like talking about my bucket list stuff for flying because I had a bucket list and then something bad almost happened. So
shit.
Yeah.
What's been the scariest flying experience then?
There's 2. There's one in New York when it was raining on 4th of July. And my pilot, he was like the homie. And he was like, Nat, are you sure you want to do this? I'm like, you tell me. Like, I trust you. Do you think we could do this? And we're like in a tiny bird. We're in an R-44. And he's like, I think we got this. So we're flying in the rain, doors open, and fireworks all under us. Like it was wild. But then I ended up getting this one shot of a firework in back of the Empire State Building. And I just love it because I know how hard it was to get that shot. And then another one's like in Morocco. I always wanted to shoot the blue city from the sky, right? And I was there with like a bunch of like Viners at the time, right? They're huge now. They do a lot of skits, like, you know, on social media. They're like the comedians of that time, and we were all there just shooting around this beautiful hotel. And the person who organized it like knew, they're like, we need to get Natalie in a helicopter. And I was like, yeah, I want to do the Blue City. So they pulled some strings. The prince gave me his military helicopter to go shoot the Blue City. Great. Woke up at like 5 a.m. I don't even think we even slept.
Mhm.
And I was there with this kid, Dan, who does skits as well. And he's never been in a helicopter. I'm like, do you want to ride? He was like, yeah, let's do it. So he came. It took an hour to get to where we needed to get to where the helicopter was in like Marrakesh or something. And then it was another hour flight to the Blue City. So first things first, I already felt uncomfortable because like these military men were looking at me like, why do we have to fly this woman? Like, who is she? And why are we taking her? Whatever. So I was already like to myself, like had shades on, my hat on, like wasn't really like just there for a mission to get these shots. Then we're in the air and we're like flying in clouds, and it was like, you look out the window and it was like uncomfortably bright, like white and bright. You can't see a thing, and really, really hot, right? Like the AC wasn't really like, I don't even think there was air conditioner in the helicopter, and it was just really uncomfortable. And I remember feeling like a little nervous. 15 minutes in, all of a sudden the engine stops and we're going down. When I tell you, I literally, I don't even know what I was thinking. I was just kind of holding on, and like, I was like closing my eyes. One of the military dudes is like flipping the pages to a manual, like yelling in Arabic, and the other guys are yelling in the front. And then somehow they managed to pick up the helicopter, and we continued to fly 45 minutes to the destination. And I'm there with my boy Dan. Me and him are both like, I'm crying. It's his first time in a helicopter. He's vlogging it. He didn't vlog that part, but he vlogged the before and after. And then after, like, I actually have the videos of him like telling the vlog, because it was really loud too in that helicopter. Like he was just like going like this. Like, it's just really funny.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then we got to the destination. We had to stop, get gas, take off the doors. And I remember I was like sitting on the edge. I was harnessed in, and I was just sitting on the edge of the bird. And as we take off, like you see like these horses just like gallivant. Like it was just like a movie. And I was like, and I'm crying, and I'm wearing sunglasses because I didn't want the military dudes to see that I was crying. And yeah, and it was just so wild. I was just so grateful too. I was like, am I going to fly again? I don't know. And obviously I ended up flying again. Yeah. And then the whole thing with Kobe happened.
I was going to ask
so
about that.
Redbeard, shout out to Redbeard, wrote this question, and I'm glad that you brought it up because I didn't want to ask it in that way. Like, by the way, since this unfortunate thing happened to some mega superstar, how do you feel about it? But now that we're here, I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah. So I was in Aspen Film Festival, and I was there with a group of, like I said, actors and comedians and different photographers and artists and stuff. And we had this massive house with a chef and everything. It was wild, like such a beautiful time. And then all of a sudden we heard the news, and everything like just stopped. Like everyone was in shock, and finding out that it was the helicopter, and it was just really sad. It was like a point of like, yo, fuck this aerial shit. Like, I'm not doing it anymore. Like, this is bullshit. Like, Kobe, we lost Kobe.
Yeah.
You know? And the following day, I was like, you know what? I want to get in a helicopter, and I want to fly. I want to fly in LA. So I booked a flight to LA from Aspen. Hit up my boy who was a pilot. I was like, hey, do you want to do a whole Kobe tribute over Staples? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So we got in the chopper. I had the Kobe sneakers on, and I dangled my feet over Staples Center. After that, I got that image printed, and I put it at Staples. There was like this whole memorial set up for him, and I put that print down. And then, you know, people were coming up and looking at it, and then everyone started to put their candles surrounding it. And I have a video of it because I thought it was really cool. I wrote like a little note in the back and stuff. Obviously, I don't know. This probably in the garbage, or who knows? Maybe Vanessa has it. I don't know. But I think it's a version of what you collected. You have the Kobe Flight Club piece, and yeah, no, it was wild. And then learning about that whole thing that happened with him is they were in the clouds too. Mm-hmm. That's what happened to me. And I remember talking to my pilot back in New York. Like, I was telling him what happened, and he's like, you're not supposed to be in the clouds. And I was like, I didn't know. Like, and it's a military helicopter. They probably do this all the time. Like, how am I supposed to know that? And he's like, you're not supposed to be in the clouds. And then it happened to Kobe, and it was just like really sad.
Yeah, that was Kobe's death is the only time I've ever cried about a celebrity dying.
Yeah.
Something about it, like
it's the saddest story.
Something about it was
with
just
his
so
daughter, like
yeah.
it's so fucked up.
And her
It'd be
friends.
different. It would be different. Like, I hate to say this, like if he got murdered on the street or something.
Right.
But it's like the fact that it happened in a freak accident with his daughter, you're just like
tragic.
You get I get goosebumps talking about it. It's just
same.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that one really affected me.
It affected
way more than I
everyone.
expected it
Even
to.
people who weren't fans of basketball or any, like, Kobe was a force.
Yeah.
The Mamba.
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite.
I got goosebumps right now thinking about it.
Yeah.
I was going to wear my Kobe's today too. I didn't.
That's almost been 2 years. 3 years.
3 years.
3 years, I think, right?
Maybe even longer.
I think it was
right before the pandemic.
Right before the pandemic. Yeah.
So
2020 though.
Going on 3.
Yeah.
So 2.5 years or so.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier about your fiance. How did you guys meet? What's the story there?
Yeah. So Peter slid in my Twitter DMs.
Classic.
And this is before I was like, Twitter was even really a big thing for me. You know, I was on it, but I wasn't really actively on it. You know, obviously NFTs changed that. So I guess I had tweeted something and we were following each other. I followed him, obviously, like he's on Hot 97, Peter Rosenberg. He does, you know, Hot 97, ESPN. And I've known him from Hot growing up, listening to him on the radio. And I always fucked with him and his thoughts and how he like carried himself. I always thought he was funny and interesting. And he hit me up. He slid in the DMs with a hey. And I was like, oh, cool. Rosenberg hit me up. He probably needs a photographer for something dope. Like, I wonder what I'm going to be working on next.
Yeah.
Right. And then after the hey, I said, hey. I was like, hey there. And then he's like, don't ask me why. The random hello. I don't have the answers.
Oh my God.
And I was like, okay, he's sliding in the DMs. He's like sliding in. And I was here for it. You know, it was a month into COVID. The world might be ending. Sure. Let's talk. So we had like our first date via FaceTime and it was really cute. He like played a record for me and it was just like, I remember I was like drinking before. I was like a little nervous. Like I didn't do a date. He asked me, he was like, do you want to go on FaceTime? And
FaceTime date? I've never done this.
I know. Well, this is COVID.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Right.
The COVID
right.
technology revolution.
What are you going to do? And yeah, we had a really fun conversation. And then the next day he FaceTimed me again, but like without it being scheduled. And I was like, why is this dude hitting me up right now? Like, and I was in bed and I was stoned.
Classic.
And yeah, we started talking and then we started talking about like hip hop and I somehow started rapping my favorite Jay-Z verse to him. And like, it's just a funny like story. Like it was just a funny way of things happening.
And shit, I had another question, but I totally forgot what it was.
No, you're good.
I had some. Go ahead, Deeze. I'm going to try to remember what I was going to ask.
Trying to think of. I could just look at one of these Redbeard questions.
I know Benny.
We should go on the wrestling tangent.
Yeah. What does he think about like all the NFT stuff and all of that?
He thinks it's really cool. He doesn't like. He understands it now, but at first he was like, "What is this? You're spending so much time doing it." But he thinks it's really neat. Like he's into it. He's here for it.
That's
I'm
really
like,
cool.
Yeah. I was like, you need to do something with like, you know, he released an album during COVID and I shot the album cover. I actually released it on Nifty, which was really cool for International Women's Day. And I told him, I was like, you should come up with something, you know, because he does a lot of compilation stuff, right?
Yeah.
So he has tracks with Method Man and Raekwon and, you know, Ghostface, like, you know, Wu-Tang in general. But yeah, he does a lot of music stuff.
If he ever wants to listen. So we're really fortunate, speaking of Wu-Tang, we're in the like crypto group who bought the Wu-Tang One of One album from Martin Shkreli.
Yeah, we're pleased right now.
Wow.
And so like I got to listen to it, and it was like, it's not their best album ever, but it's really cool just because of like what it is.
Right.
And like the first song like hits really fucking hard, and you're just like kind of sitting there and you're like, oh my God, like I'm listening to a Wu-Tang song that like 200 people have ever heard there, like ever.
That's dope.
It was really, really cool. But if you ever wanted to listen to it, we could probably make it happen.
That would be really cool. Yeah. And if you have any tips for him, like I want him to get into the NFT space. I think he could do some really cool things.
Yeah.
And it could be like, I like experiences. That's like my favorite thing of all time. Like I like shooting experiences, or like, I just, you know, obviously I love doing new things. It would be cool to like, whoever gets the NFT gets to go to studio and like see the process of what it's like
totally.
to make an album. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
No, I feel like experiences are something, the dirty word's utility, but experiences aren't the same. But I feel like experiences are something we've been thinking about a lot too. Like, how do we give more than just owning something, but like the experience of owning something together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's pretty untapped, I feel like still.
Have you ever thought about selling an NFT or something that like brought a fan up into a helicopter with you or anything?
Yeah, so that was the first NFT that I minted on Foundation. I had like wrote out like whoever gets this gets to fly in a helicopter with me. And I regret burning it because then somebody else took that idea, which is fine. Like, you know, other people can do that. But now it's like, I want to still do that with my people. And
yeah, you totally should.
And I think with Flight Club, with that collection in general, I think that's the outlet for that, since it's, you know, geared towards aerial photography.
Yeah.
The thing is like when I dropped Flight Club, it was in August, and I feel like most of the people who bought it, like they're not heavily in the NFT space. So like they bought it for the hype.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. And it wasn't moving like it should have.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? Time will tell what will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people at that time were just like, this is going to go up. Everything's
it made me regret releasing it. I know everyone says it's such a good time. Like, as you mentioned, it's what a good time to release because everything was getting sold. But like, it sold to the wrong people. Mm-hmm. Not everyone, obviously. I'm here today because of it.
Especially.
I am, right? I'm basically here today because of it. But like, in order for it to like move and to do these fun things, like get people in a helicopter and stuff, like it needs to.
Yeah. You need to have some secondary sales, some royalties.
Right.
It's tough. I feel like you're probably right in the sense that the right collectors didn't buy it at the time.
Right.
But I feel like now I've had this conversation with other artists who like put out pieces or collections over the last 9 months or so, and they didn't sell out immediately. And like they were originally stressed out about it, anxious, like thinking they should burn it.
I know, fuck that
and
shit.
Actually what has happened, or what they've seen happen over the last like 6 to 9 months, is that the right collectors are finding them. It's just taking more time.
Mm-hmm.
But like the people collecting them are people who connect with the artist and like really enjoy that relationship and that piece, and it's not just like the hype. So it's something I have thought a lot about recently, where like a lot of the things I collected in that August time frame, I have a hard time even remembering all of it. Like when I'm building an on-cyber gallery and looking back, like I'm sorting through like, I don't know, 1,500 NFTs across like 3 wallets, and then like
that is so wild.
Trying to figure out like what I even have, and then like a lot of the OpenSea stuff is really hard to find because it's not like, oh, I can go look on Foundation and it just shows like all of your super rare Foundation manifold stuff. It's like the OpenSea stuff's buried, so it's like this lost artifact where it's for me, like I've had a hard time just remembering like what the heck did I buy?
I know. Yeah. OpenSea, they need to make it a little bit more user friendly in that
They're
sense.
slowly working on it.
Okay.
Like.
They've been updating their front page a lot, I feel like the way they like feature stuff and all of that. I think they're getting there. I'm actually like, and I feel like my personal pendulum on OpenSea has swung back and forth a lot of whether I like what they're doing, don't like what they're doing.
Right.
But lately I've gotten pretty good vibes from them. I think they like grew so fast and they just couldn't handle it. from like a just technical standpoint, amount of people, and then it's like really, really hard to then scale a company and handle all of that. And so I think that they're starting to get into the swing of things. And,
so what's your favorite platform?
For what?
For like just buying NFTs.
To buy NFTs, yeah.
I would say this is a bit of a cop-out answer. My favorite platform to buy an NFT is an artist's like own website or something. Like I really liked when like Drift did his like first day out open edition. I love that was on its own site. I think like those experiences are way more personal.
I agree.
And it definitely doesn't mean that like only good things, like the only good stuff is stuff that has its own site. And I think there's like a really great space for Super Rare and Foundation to be platforms that elevate artists and all of that. But I do think there's something really special about, and also really powerful about, an artist being able to have their own site and like really, really cut out middlemen and be like, no, fuck it. I'm the distribution. I'm like I own the entire experience with my collectors and how they interact with what I'm doing. And like, you don't have to be begging some platform to update something because it's not exactly how you want.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wasn't even thinking about it from that perspective, but when you said it immediately, I was like, oh yeah, getting it directly from the artist, because they curate the whole experience, right? They curate the site. They tell you the story. Like you're buying into the artist. You feel more connected to that artist.
It's so much more special that way, I feel like.
Do you remember minting Forgotten Runes Wizards?
Oh yeah, it was so cool.
It was like the only time I minted something and cared about what happened between when I hit confirm and when I went to OpenSea and checked the rarity.
Why? What was it?
They had this pixel art floating fortress thing that when you minted, it was like a cinematic pixel art thing where like a giant beam comes down, the sky turns like
fire.
Yeah, and it was you even had to like scroll down to find where to go to press the mint button.
Yeah, like the mint button was kind of hard. I think I had to ask someone in Discord, like, how do you mint? Like you had to click a little, I don't know if it was like some shit on a wall.
Yeah.
Like it was.
Which is actually kind of brilliant, like to make it a little bit challenging and then having that, the community kind of reach out to one another, like, how do you do this? And then it gets more eyes onto the project.
Yeah. I think just in general, as someone who, doesn't make stuff, but I really enjoy collecting and experiencing all of that, like knowing that someone put the thought into it to be like, oh, I want people to have some sort of special experience and this is really important. It just like feels really nice.
Yeah.
And makes it way more exciting.
I love that.
We talked about like being stoned and some of that stuff. I am in this one community called Galactic Gang. And they did a free mint, and it was like a 4-minute like psychedelic music video. Like you're just sitting there like entranced, and it's like, oh shit! Like I minted that thing 3 minutes and 30 seconds ago, but I just sat here like staring at it.
That's so cool.
And it's like that's what you want to see when you're on a site. Like you don't want to just feel like it's a gumball machine.
Yeah.
And you're like insert money, crank. All right.
Wow. Who are the devs for that project? That's really dope to like really get to experience something as you met. Very cool.
Yeah.
It just shows like they're thinking about the whole experience and it's not like it's transactional.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like I think Brandon North did a pretty interesting one with like he did the end is near, the beginning is near, and then like depending on which one got minted more, you could burn them and get like a third piece, and it was like all on his own site. I think through Manifold. I think Manifold's really opened up the door for a lot of this, and I really like. I didn't see this happening last year, but I really like it now where like Super Rare, Foundation, a lot of these big sites like just index the Manifold stuff. So if you're a creator, a lot of these people are now on Super Rare, but they're actually putting up like their Manifold contract.
Yeah.
What do you think about that as an artist? It's something that I like really don't have an opinion on because I'm not as personally connected to it. But like, I always thought it was interesting how when you mint on Super Rare, you're like on the Super Rare token as opposed to like your own contract.
Yeah.
Is that something that like you have feelings about, or like do you prefer one way or another? Or?
I mean, I think it's really cool that you have the ability to have your own token, right? Because a lot of people like this is such a new space and we don't know where it's all going. So like to have that control, I think really does help artists like be like, okay, I'm understanding this way more. So I'm into it. And I like how they make it so easy for us too. They literally have 2 sections. Like, do you want to use the Super Rare token or your own? And it's so easy.
Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah. I've never actually seen that side of Super Rare because
we're not actually artists on Super
so
Rare.
I had no idea how that worked, but that's really interesting. That's cool. And so do you basically just choose one or the other? Can you do both? Or I would assume
not
no.
for the same mint.
Yeah.
Like it depends on
Yeah,
what you're
but like, so
minting.
if you minted one NFT on your own, could you then go back and mint another on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
I definitely collect from artists who have like a collection in super rare that is on the manifold contract, but then they have like super rare 101s that aren't in that collection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's cool. Yeah, it's to me that kind of stuff. I really enjoy. I think that blockchain is cool in general for like the provenance of all this stuff, and it's so interesting to me to hear artists' opinions on it because like that's what really matters at the end of the day. And so like I can have my own opinion about what I think is interesting. And
I mean,
stuff,
your
but-
opinion matters to us, though. We
Yeah, true.
obviously, I think it's like it goes both ways,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
I mean-
but I think like for me, what my opinion on it is, I want to buy the stuff that artists are most excited about.
Right.
And so like if I could buy like the thing that I think is cool, but the artist doesn't give a shit about because they realize like, oh no, I really want to have my own contract and like that provenance of my own thing is important. I want to own the stuff that they think is important because at the end of the day, a lot of the collecting is really just wanting to be closer with that person or elevate them and do like buy into what they're really excited about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
It's so
that.
interesting.
No, I feel like for me, I was trying to push artists off of OpenSea last year. Like
Yeah.
during the summer, I was like, I have foundation invites. I was back before you could just go on there. And I would just offer them to any artist who like I liked. I was like, if you're going to mint, like please mint this here.
How many foundation invites did you have?
I've given out over like 100.
Oh my God.
I used to get like chunks of 20. Like they would just email me and be like, hey, you have more referrals. And click and I have a chunk of 20. And then I would tweet out like, who needs a foundation invite? And then I'd get like 100 or 200 or 500 responses.
Right.
And then I would actually go through and just pick like 20 that maybe I didn't want to buy all 20, but like felt like I had like a way to curate who I was giving my invite to, which was kind of nice.
Yeah.
And then a lot of those people, like if it was reasonably priced, I probably bought it.
Yeah,
after
yeah.
giving them the invite.
It'd be really cool to see like a web of all of your
Yes,
connections.
that would be sick.
Yeah. Like for me,
I've definitely seen like artist profiles and I see your name there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I've done very few foundation invites, but I had them right at the start. And like, I think it's because I bought like when they had like their very first drop, when they first came out, I bought like one or two of the pieces from like that original drop. And so I got a bunch of invites, and I'm pretty sure the only person I gave one to was Lewis. And then he invited a bunch of people. So it'd be like fun for me to see the tree because it'd be very different from Deeze, where like he was inviting a ton of people and I just invited Lewis and I was like, all right, you can invite people out. I don't really care. I have too
It's
much
like
else going
somehow
on.
you were able to have an offspring as a single.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels
organ.
powerful though. You have the power to like
Yeah.
help an artist. That's huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and now it's like evolved to, okay, everyone can get on foundation, and it's like I sometimes have to send a tweet out that's like at super rare roses, at super rare John, at super rare.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
hey friends, I don't know where our head is right now or what butt it's up, but this artist right here, please look at them. And it's like, that's the only thing I can do now.
I
Yeah.
mean, they get so many requests.
I know.
Like,
It's
can't
kind of
even.
it's kind of crazy that we haven't seen more curated platforms come up for artwork in
I
general, like
know.
NFTs. And I really thought that was where Foundation was going to continue to go. And I mean, great for them. I feel like they really have a path they're going on that's awesome. But like, I was excited for like a super rare competitor is like maybe the wrong word, but like another player in that space of, there's so many ways you can have opinions about how do you want to curate, who do you
It'll
let on.
come.
Yeah.
It'll happen. I mean, we're still so early. Like right now, IG, Instagram's giving people the ability to post their NFTs onto the platform. I think that's going to open up so many doors for so many people
Oh,
once
yeah.
people start really actually posting.
It's like normalizing the terminology and the tech outside of our like nerdy
Mhm.
crypto bubble.
Yeah. Have you posted any NFTs on Instagram?
I actually posted the first one.
Okay, so that's really funny because we had Swopes
Okay,
here, and
yeah.
she was like, I posted the second one.
Right,
She's like, I was in
right.
Jordan.
Right.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's really funny.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
we're
Elise
accumulating all
was
the
the
early-
second.
Yeah.
It's funny. When it happened, me, Elise, Gary V, like
Mhm.
10 of us, we had the ability to do it. We didn't know when. They're like, it's coming sometime this week. We're like,
Just pay
okay,
attention.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then the day it was happening, I was like, all right. They're like, yeah, it's happening today. We're not sure when. Cool. So I was like on IG. I was like, I wonder if it's on. Like, can I post that? Click the link, not the link, I added my wallet. My wallet was already added, but I clicked the share button and I was like, it just happened. And I think other people saw like, oh shit, it's on. Like we can post.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was actually my first, my super rare Genesis that Benny and Zanzibar and Will bought. So
the triumvirate.
It was fun to it was fun to experience that with them.
Yeah.
They're so supportive. They've been like the most supportive collectors that I've met in the space for me. And to kind of share that experience and showing them like, yo, we just posted the first, like I said we, because it is we. Like we posted the first NFT on Instagram,
and
which is huge.
What was your followers' reception to that? Like, were they like, this is dope, or were they like, fuck NFTs?
Nobody said fuck NFTs. Like, I guess a lot of my followers are like super supportive. They just think it's really cool. Like, they just thought it was a cool piece. And the photo that I posted, it has some like digital elements to it, but Instagram doesn't have that ability yet on the back end side. So they just thought it was a cool photo, and they're like, wow, this is awesome. And it's cool. Like when you scroll on the feed, I don't know. Have you seen how it looks?
I haven't used Instagram. I
don't have Instagram.
I use the app to post. So my issue with Instagram is the ads. Every 3 things I see is an ad. And after seeing 2 ads, I close the app and I don't go back.
I mean, it definitely changed. Like
like even when you're looking at stories, it's like you look at 2 people's stories and then you're looking at like 4 things. It's all shapewear and fucking like scooters. I'm like, what do you?
All right, well, this is important, especially for you guys. You guys are investors in the space.
Yeah.
So
Let me pull up the app.
Look. When you put, first of all, here's your homepage, right? Your profile, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Instagram before.
Yeah. So now they have a verified check. They have like a book. So where you click on that, you could see all the NFTs.
Oh, that's
right?
Really
Is that
cool.
there for everybody?
That's here for everyone.
Okay.
So then when you click on an NFT, or if it pops on someone's feed, they have this cool effect. Do you see that? It's a shimmering effect.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Do you see that? And then
It's like a holographic card that's being tilted.
Yeah. But the cool thing is when you tilt it, you see the effect. Here, you can like go back and forth and you could see it.
That's really cool.
Isn't that dope?
Yeah,
So I'm
really
looking at my profile right now and I'm like, oh, digital collectibles.
Sorry,
Okay.
I'm
you have to connect your stuff. You have to connect your
no,
wallet.
No, I like this. It goes to rainbow, continue and agree, boom. I mean,
So
I'm not
think about it, guys. We're
Yeah.
in like a hype beast world that people want to feel.
it's gonna
It's gonna
It just
pop
took
I
10
off.
also
seconds.
love that they call it digital collectibles.
Yes.
And that's something that, so I've been talking a lot about how I think we need, like, I mean, obviously NFTs, that's a like name
That's
for things
what
will
it's-
eventually go away.
Right.
And I've been kind of calling them like 2 different buckets of like digital art and digital collectibles.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I would consider your work digital art, not
Yeah.
a digital collectible.
Right.
And then like Bored Apes are digital collectibles. And I kind of think about it like you have the artwork side of it and then the like stuff that I more equate to like trading cards and things like that. But I'm happy to see that they're not just calling it like non-fungible tokens.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I think they did a really good job. I did go back with some feedback for them because like you can click to see what the art is, but it doesn't take you to a link.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, we need a link. And obviously these platforms, they don't want to like take them away from IG. They're not going to tell me that, but that's what I figured.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're going to eventually do it, but that's what
There's
needs to
also
be
this
done.
issue with the App Store where like if you have a digital collectible and like if you can click a link to that collectible, it has to be maybe buyable through the App Store or some shit.
Yeah.
So like it's a whole monopoly Apple has.
Yeah.
It's really cool though. I think people are underestimating how much little things like this can really start to educate a whole new wave of people who, like you were saying, Instagram is full of hype beasts and people who want, like, they're ready to do this kind of stuff. They just need a little bit more of a push to get educated and get involved. It was like, that's where I came from, is I was doing, I was into crypto at the same time, but that like mostly what I was doing was buying sneakers and sweatshirts and flipping them so I could buy more sneakers and sweatshirts.
Right.
To flip
And all
them.
that. Yeah. And like that transition to NFTs and like all that digital collectible stuff made so much sense to me. And there's so many people who like would resonate with that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to speak to a lot of people. And I think the more people post and the more shimmering effect you get on your feed, people are going like, wait a minute, I want to do that too. I want to curate my own. It's like you're inviting people into your home and they can see the art that you have on your walls, which is like, it's a part of the game. It's a flex, it's a flex.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, I mean, I have a ton of fun building on cyber galleries. And it's like, this is like a 2D Instagram gallery.
How many galleries do you have?
9, 10.
Wow.
There's a whole bunch of them. It's like on
He doesn't
Cyber / Deeze, Deeze OM,
And
Deeze Denver.
and that's another thing I think that's going to blow up eventually is like having these online galleries and like and it's so immersive, like it's so easy to use, right? The way you walk around the gallery and like when you walk to an item, you can hear the sounds. Like it's fucking dope.
It's sick. It's really
and
cool.
we have like OM.
Right. So what I love about that is like we tend to forget how big the world is. You know, we're in our own kind of bubble, but then you travel. Like I just came back from Cuba. Me and Peter went to Cuba, and people don't have much. All you need is an internet connection, and you know there's artists everywhere, and if they can, you know, have their work displayed in Deeze's gallery, that's going to bring more eyes to their work. It's just, I love this. Like the web is filled with endless opportunities. You know, the metaverse, I should say.
Oh, it's crazy compared to pre-internet, like the pre-90s.
Yeah,
it's a great equalizer.
Yeah,
it gives so many people the opportunity to get involved. I think that's one thing that drew me to crypto too. Is just like I was someone who came from like poor background. It was like there's no barrier to entry. I fired up MetaMask, sent some ETH. Actually, it was more like I downloaded the Coinbase app, and I bought Litecoin.
Is that how you popped off with Litecoin?
No, I didn't pop off with Litecoin.
Was it Bitcoin? Is that
I didn't pop off
really?
with any token until like 2020.
Yeah.
Really?
So like my story is basically I put a little bit of money in 2017.
Okay.
And I did okay. Like ran it up to 6 figures.
Okay.
And lost all of it.
Right.
Like from 2018 to like the beginning of 2019.
Yeah, that's when I deleted the app.
Yeah,
it was
times.
November 2018 to be super specific, when the Bitcoin price was sitting at like 6,000 and it just kept making a lower high and it just kept going back down to 6,000. And then like one day it just went from 6,000 to 3,000. It was like, oh, it's all gone. Like that lever long I had while I was at work got liquidated and it's gone. And it's like, okay, well,
you know what? Look at you now.
Yeah,
look at you now.
I never thought I'd be here.
That's amazing.
But it's one of those things where like I had to teach myself, okay, what did I do wrong? And then like if this happens again, how do I not fuck it up again? I think I did fine this time. I could
definitely still learn a lot. Like
I learned a lot more this time actually than I learned the first time, which is probably crazy to say, but like there's so much there's so many levels to this shit. It's like there are levels I didn't even know existed until like this year, and it's like, oh my god, like
Yeah. So what are you really excited about? Like anything exciting going on over the next couple months? I know you're getting married, and that's exciting.
I'm getting married. Yeah. We just bought a beach house in New York.
That's exciting.
Getting married. So planning a wedding, which is really hard.
I'm also actively planning a wedding.
I'm looking for a wedding planner. Do you have one?
Yeah. And I am generally hands off. My fiance loves her. She lives in New York. She's in like Chelsea. Oh, cool. Really nice.
Yeah, I can't have a job.
She's been really good.
We could barely plan a podcast.
Yeah.
Let alone
I can barely plan like one day of my life, let alone I'll send you after this. I'll send you some info.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm really excited. I told my fiance all I want is Funk Master Flex to DJ the after party.
I think that's totally fair.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a date?
We have an in.
We don't.
With Funk Master Flex.
Yeah, he works at Hot 97 with Peter.
All right, so it's a wrap.
Yeah. We were on the phone with him, and I was like, "Babe, ask Flex," and he was like, "Yo, Flex, my girl's here. She wants to. Can you DJ the what?" He was like, "Yeah, bro, I got you."
There you
go.
And
what I want is I want different Hot 97 DJs to DJ an hour set.
I love that.
So it's kind of like a competition, like Peter does a podcast called One Up is Dead. Well, One Up is Life. They changed it. It's the first hip hop podcast with Cypher Sounds. And I was like, yo, I want Cypher to do an hour set. I want Cast One to do an hour set. I want Flex to just end it. I want bombs at the end,
That's awesome.
All I really care about, we just came back from a wedding in Boston and in the Cape, and so not Boston. And there's just so much that it's like so overwhelming, like walking down the aisle and reading your vows in front of everyone. And I don't know if I've ever been the type to like really care about that. Obviously, I want fire pictures.
Yeah.
But for me, it's the food and the music. Like,
Same.
I want there to be a party. I don't want it to be chicken, steak, or salmon.
We're not even doing a seated meal for our
Yeah,
wedding. We're
I want
only
family
doing-
style.
Yeah, that's all we're doing.
And I'm thinking like Chinese food.
Oh,
I want
so
like a...
let me ask my friends. So we just had a wedding down by like the water in Red Hook,
Okay.
and their sit down meal was fine, but their like past hors d'oeuvres were fucking crazy. And
Really?
they had like 4 different stations, and they had like a seafood bar with oysters and shit. They had
I'm
a
here
taco
for it.
bar where they were making
Ooh.
quesadillas and tacos, and then they had a whole Chinese section where like it literally came in like the white
Oh, the little
packaging,
containers.
yeah.
Ew,
and
that's
then they
what
had
I
like a
want.
whole meat and cheese thing, and it was one of those things where we're like walking around at the past hors d'oeuvres, and we were like, all right, I have no idea how good the food will be after this, but like this food's fucking crazy. We just have to get full on this food because it's not worth risking it.
No.
And it was like the best meal I've ever had at a wedding.
Yeah.
It was so good.
That's the best part is, you want people to feel like they're having a good time with food and music. And and I told Peter too, like, well, after when we announced on social media that we're engaged, Katz has already hit us up. Like, yo, let us know if you need a station. We're like, yes. We love Katz's.
Yeah. I mean, how can you
I
not?
want a Katz's. I want a sushi. I have friends at Nobu. I'm like, yo, can you hook us up with a little Nobu station?
That'd be crazy.
I need to get the oyster bar. That
Yeah.
would have been where I spent 90% of my food capital would have been at the oyster
How many
bar.
oysters can you eat?
As many as you can give me.
All right. I mean, because you don't get full of oysters.
No, not
right?
really.
The only way I would get full is if I was eating each one with like the oyster cracker on,
Right.
like that whole thing.
Right.
Couple dozen. But like if it's just oysters,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, I can house oysters like,
Like
nobody's
128 doesn't even seem that crazy.
That feels like a lot. I don't know about that.
Just like slurping them down with like a dab of the cocktail with horseradish. Like,
Well, I guess
if
it
we
depends
can
on how big
ever
the oysters
find,
are.
if we can ever find all you can eat oysters, we need to do a little mukbang with like oysters.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think I feel comfortable with all you can eat oysters. Just like as an idea,
I know it's
if
like
the
it kind
oysters
of
you're
feels like
getting are all you can eat, they can't be that
they
good.
can't be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll expense it.
We'll just go get some nice oysters and we'll turn it into any oyster place is an all you can eat oyster place if you have enough money.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right.
Or if they have enough oysters.
Yeah, true.
Or they
might
could
run
just
out of
sponsor the event. Let's see
Yeah.
how many oysters we can eat.
let's
in
hit
one
up like
setting.
We have to shuck them too. Like,
Yeah.
the whole thing.
No, we're not. I'm
Oh,
not doing
that's
that.
dope.
No, I can't. I'm not coordinated enough. I'd probably like cut myself with the little shucker.
Oh, 100%.
I'd
cut
lose
my
the
fingers
finger.
off. Yeah, I have
I
a
don't know
scar
how
on
to
my
do it.
finger from just like opening like a pocket knife once, so I don't think I need to shuck oysters.
The William Vale, I was like shutting my door, and for whatever reason, this door, the gap between the handle and the wall is like thinner than my knuckle, and I just slammed it, not thinking, and I slammed it into my hand, and I was like,
Oh
"Fuck."
no.
Yeah, I'm very clumsy with my fingers.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I can't even eat lobster on my own. Like,
Oh, really?
I need somebody to feed me, or crabs, or anything.
I help
I need
Mrs.
to be
Deeze.
fed.
I think that's totally fair. I think this is a very like American thing, but I'm not a huge fan of having to work for my food. Like
Me neither.
I don't really
I
like.
don't know why people
When we're
fuck
in
with lobster
Croatia,
so
and we
much.
get the grilled shrimp, but really it was like boiled prawns.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah,
was
when you
like-
go to Thailand, they give you the full prawn. Everyone, when I first went to Thailand back in 2012, everyone's like, get the prawns, get the prawns. I'm like, all right.
rip the
cool.
head off, suck the juice.
You know, and I'm Jewish. I didn't grow up eating prawns, but I started eating shrimp and I loved it. It was like, why don't we like,
Yeah.
Got to Thailand, ordered the prawns, and it's like the whole thing with the thing and the
Yeah, rip the legs off
and
and
the
shit.
head, and
Yeah.
people are sucking the head, and I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah. And even like bone-in fish, like I don't really want to pick around the bones.
Me neither.
I don't need a challenge. It's
No.
not
I
like
fucked up.
I have
in
nothing
Croatia.
to prove.
I forgot they had bones, and I'm just doing the
You're
old
just
American
eating every-
fork
oh
it
my
in,
God.
and then like I swallowed it. Was like that wasn't like my dab pen that's like clogging my
Oh,
throat.
no.
Like that. That's a tickle.
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, I'm a lot more cautious.
I mean, this is a hot take. I'm way into shrimp over lobster. I'm not into lobster. I love
Like
a
shrimp
good
cocktail, like already
any type
peeled.
of shrimp. Any type of shrimp I like more than lobster, but I do love a good lobster roll.
I was gonna say the exact same thing.
Connecticut or Maine?
I don't know the difference.
Hot
I don't
or cold?
care. Either or, they're both delicious.
They're
Yeah.
both good.
They're both good.
I like the hot ones.
With mayo, with butter. I don't care. It tastes good.
Yeah.
I think.
But to open and then dip it in the butter, it's not the
Yeah,
same.
I've had like some nice, just like lobster tail, that just like is already done, just like on a skewer or something.
But even then, would you prefer that flavor over shrimp?
I think so, but because I fucking love butter.
It's like butter, yeah.
Okay.
And so I think it's just like no one dips. I'd be a weirdo if I'm sitting there dipping my shrimp in butter.
No.
Like, you have a shrimp cocktail and warm butter.
Imagine you order the shrimp cocktail and you're like, no cocktail sauce though, just fill that shit with butter. Like,
I'm sure it's done. I'm sure people do.
I might have to try it.
I like the blue crab meat that comes in like the bowl for you that's already like done, and then you just dip it. Sometimes it has a butter. Sometimes it's like even like a spicy mayo thing.
Yeah,
that's what I'm about.
Are you a caviar fan?
Not specifically.
I'm kind of in the same place. My fiance is like really into caviar, and so I'm never the one who's like, oh, we should totally get the caviar. But she'll be like, oh, we should totally get the caviar.
Is she like Russian?
Her mother is.
Okay, so
but
like,
good call.
Right. Yeah, but when we were in Barcelona, we went to this one restaurant called Compartir, which I'd highly recommend if you ever go back to Barcelona. I will send you a full. We did like a total foodie Spain list. We were in Madrid for a month and then Barcelona, and we had a good time. We ate well. But they had this really amazing like little baked brioche bun that had sour cream and what's the word I was just saying?
Caviar.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Sour cream and caviar in it. And like I said, I'm not like a huge caviar person. It was like one of the best things I've ever eaten in my entire life.
Listen, I'm not denying the fact that it's good, but I never go out my way to order it.
I'm the same way.
You know?
Yeah.
I've only had it once or twice.
Yeah.
That Bahamas dinner was
I feel like it definitely depends on the place too. Because sometimes you're just like, all right, I'm paying like a lot of money for like a can of
for the wine,
for like a can of like salt, basically.
I'd rather just get a steak. Or something,
totally. There was another place we went to though that was like it was a pizza place.
Okay.
And their caviar dish was basically they took like pizza dough and they threw it onto like the top of the pizza oven, and it like would bake into like this big ball, and they would just give you that with the caviar. And you kind of like
naan.
It was almost like
you know how they
pizza dough naan,
right,
basically, and like that with the caviar, like just like the combo of that bread and like the salty kind of taste of it was really, really good.
Wow.
And so it's growing on me a little bit, but it definitely depends on like the service. If it's just like it comes with the little pancakes and stuff, I don't need that.
Yeah, I don't need that either.
Yeah,
fuck it. I feel like I'm much more of I'd rather have the lobster, the shrimp, the scallops. Love scallops.
I'm not a big scallop person either. Listen, I said,
I love the mollusks.
I'm Jewish. I didn't grow up eating all of this, but I eat everything now. Even then, though, it's like scallops are okay for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like scallops are hit or miss for me. Sometimes they're just like something about the way they're cooked.
Well, they have to be done right. Like they're, I think, one of the harder seafoods to cook, or at least when I'm cooking at home. I fuck up scallops like 50% of the time, and it's normally I overcook it.
Right.
And then it becomes like kind of rubbery.
Yeah.
If you can't just like take your fork and just like very tenderly do it, you're like, oh, fuck.
Must be like butter.
Whereas like you really can't fuck up like crab legs. Like you just boil them.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever cooked crab legs.
Really?
Me neither.
Yeah. I don't know if that experimental. I don't know.
My dad, I think, got me into it. That was like a treat. Like sometimes even get like the live lobster.
Yeah, no.
Live?
I feel like that's just like not a North Jersey thing.
No.
Like, we don't have like
that's like you're a giant eagle in Ohio and there's just like a dozen lobsters in a tank.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like in Jersey that wasn't like because if you were further south, if you were down by like by like Wildwood, that area, then I'm sure you'll get more seafood stuff. But where I was, that wasn't really a thing that much.
Yeah, no, they're flying them into Ohio. They weren't getting them locally, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It was always a treat though. It was like, oh, this is like you did well on your report card. Like that type of thing.
I mean, that's why you love it so much. You like
I've always associated it with like being a night out.
Yeah.
Whereas like steak, my dad made steak like every night. So it's like
my dad loves steak.
We have a ribeye or a New York strip like every night. Ooh. It's like I'm sick of steak.
What's your go-to steak order? What are you doing?
I'll do a ribeye. It depends. I'll do a fillet if I'm trying to feel light that evening. But I mean, ribeye is like so juicy. And, oh, it's so good.
Have you ever had the dry aged steak at Lilia?
No.
I'd highly recommend it.
I'm gonna need a New York list for me too.
I got you.
Yeah.
It's my hot take is it's actually my favorite steak I've had in New York.
Okay.
Even though they're like a pasta place, but it was just unbelievably tender. Ooh. It was like melt in your mouth, fall off the bone. Really, really, really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to hit that.
Yeah, I mean, I also just I lived like a block away from Lilia for a while.
Okay.
And so we would go pretty often, and it's like super. So it's really hard to get a reservation.
Okay,
but it's actually really easy to get in. All you have to do is show up maybe I shouldn't even say this. To leak the
No,
alpha.
this is the place that Ali was talking about. I almost, okay,
yes, all you have to do is show up at 4 p.m. right when they open, and you just walk in and say, "Hey, can I have a table for 2?" And they'll basically, you can always sit at the bar if you do it.
Yeah.
And I like sitting at the bar
Me too.
personally.
I don't mind it either.
Yeah,
and it's fun. You get to like talk to the bartender.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can basically, any night you want, doesn't matter. It could be a Friday night. If you show up there at 4 o'clock right when they open and say, "Can I sit at the bar for 2 people?" You can 100% get in.
Okay, I'm gonna have to do that.
Free alpha.
Yeah.
Make that's a subscriber only content.
Patreon.
I feel like it's like Andy and Ali, they have the best food recommendations.
It's just like how we bond. Like that's kind of our like fun way to go and like just do something fun in the city, because basically all you can do is either go out and drink, go to a sporting event, or go eat.
It's a love language.
Yeah, 100%. And like, and we've definitely bonded with like over the years, and like have most of our traveling and like our favorite memories are, oh, do you remember that crazy Indian food we had in London, or like all these different things.
Yeah.
And like there's so much fun that you can have with that too. And it also is very social. It depending on how you do it. Like I feel like we've made a lot of friends in places we go just because we're like talking up the bartender, or like asking the sommelier a million questions about the wine that they're bringing.
That's my favorite. So, back in the early IG days when we'd travel and we'd meet up with local photographers, and they'd kind of take the time to show you around their favorite shooting locations and stuff like that. My favorite thing was after you shoot, whether it's sunrise or sunset or whatever, you're so famished. You're like, yo, what's the spot here? And they take you to the local, like the best spots. And that's my favorite. And you connect so like on such a deep level over some good food.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. In India, it was incredible.
Oh, I'm sure.
I went to India by myself.
Oh.
I traveled in 2019 pre-pandemic. I gave up my New York City apartment because I felt like I was so like tied down to it, like I love my stuff, my sneakers, my stuff, and I was like, yo, I have the opportunity. I was 29 at the time. I have the opportunity to travel the world. I'm like, let me just do it full time. So I gave up my apartment and went live on Instagram. I bought one of those like custom Wheel of Fortune wheels, and I asked people on live, like, where should I travel to? We put it on the wheel.
Oh, that's so fun.
Spun the wheel live, and then it landed on Vancouver, and the next day I went to Vancouver. So that kind of started that whole travel journey.
That's really cool.
And I would travel by myself as like a solo female photographer and connect with all these photographers all over the world. And I would say India. I went to India for the Holi Festival.
Oh, nice.
And wow, it was incredible. And so many people are like, you went to India by yourself? And people are telling me not to. I was in Hong Kong at the time, and I was like, if I get my visa within 24 hours, because like, I applied for a visa mad late, and I was like, I'm going to go to India for it's a bucket list trip to go for the festival. Got the visa. Everyone's trying to convince me, don't go alone. What are you doing? And then I did a giveaway, a helicopter giveaway. And the dude was Indian, and he was following me for so long. He was like, oh, you should link up with this photographer. So he gave me that alpha, and I hit him up, and he was like, yeah, come through, whatever. And it's all these local photographers in India who kind of took me under their wing, and nobody really fucked with me. And I heard a lot of horror stories. Like, it's fucked up. Like the way they treat women, obviously not everyone, but like the locals, like it's, you're at the Holi Festival and everyone thinks it's like beautiful and colors and happy. No, they like the men there, they're like uneducated, like fucked up. Like they would take the paint and literally, it reminds me of that scene in Dumb and Dumber where he takes a snowball and like decks the girl in the face. That's what they were doing with the paint, decking these women. And then they had these water guns and they're spraying their like hoo-ha, like I was gonna say veg. They're spraying their tits and everything, and like it was so degrading. I wore a mask, I had hats on, I wear baggy streetwear, so no one really fucked. And even then, I have videos, and I like had to shake people off me, because they know, like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, but the food, you get like this whole feast for like. I remember I was like, yo, I went with a crew of like 5 photographers, and they had some friends come, and it was like 10 of us, and it was the end of my trip in India. And I was like, I got the bill. Don't worry, guys. And we ordered everything. When I tell you how much everything cost, it was wild. $17 for 10 of us, like unlimited food, everything.
And it was good.
Oh my God, it was slamming. It was so good.
Have you had any Indian food in New York that is close to what you had in India or no?
I mean, listen, Indian food in New York, it's actually really similar, shockingly. Like they use, similar spices as opposed to like Chinese food.
Yeah, not the same.
If you go to China, I went to Shanghai. I was so excited. I was like, I'm going to eat everything. Nope, not for me. It was, you are not getting chicken and broccoli anywhere.
Like, what are you getting? Like, if it's not chicken and broccoli.
They don't have everything that that's Chinese food. It's not Chinese
So there's
food.
like no General Tso's, there's no Kung Pao, there's no sweet and sour chicken, there's no
It's
Szechuan.
just like random.
Yeah, it's a lot of different types of spices and stuff, and it's very different.
India, you get what you're used to, like
butter chicken.
Oh my God, all of
chicken
it.
tikki.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That was what I loved about London. My fiance was living in London right before COVID and would go there a good bunch. And the Indian food there was like, it was so good.
Yeah, man. Ooh.
Oh, man.
You're making me hungry about Indian. We haven't had Indian in a couple months.
I might have to be like, hey, Allie, let's get
Mrs. Deeze was talking about Indian before we came to Croatia. We almost ordered it the night before we came to Croatia.
Oh, you gotta go.
And I didn't order it because I was like, I have to go to the bathroom on the plane. And I eat a bunch of chicken tikki. And I'm the type where like, the place in Ohio has 6 spice levels, like 0 through 6, 6 being the hottest. Right. And I'm like, I get the 5. Okay. So I was like, not trying to do that before the flight, but it's addicting.
You should
and I just
go.
like I can drink the sauce, like the chicken tikki sauce.
I could drink the sauce too.
I'd
easily. I'd chug that. Chug it.
We have I feel like there's a pretty good, strong like Indian photography community in NFTs.
Oh, absolutely.
They're the ones who got me into Indian food. Like hosting spaces last summer. I'd host a space. I think it was Dipanjan or Ujval. I was hosting a space for one of them, and they like pressured me into ordering a mango lassi, which is this like
the beverage.
It's like a mango smoothie, but better.
Right.
And I got that chicken tikki, garlic bread.
So you've never had it before?
I didn't have it before this space.
Wow.
I ordered like $75 of Chinese or Indian food just for me to test it. It was like I got like some tilapia that was not good.
I've never ordered a. Oh.
No.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
That was a mistake, but we had to learn.
Right.
I was like getting all their little desserts. Like I ended up really liking these like cold circular balls and syrup.
And the honey, and the syrup or whatever,
So good. But like I had no idea. So I'm like, I just ordered this, and I showed up and I was like,
great.
Ever since like me and Mrs. Deeze.
Oh, you guys have to go back. There's a place in Lower East Side. I'd say like First Avenue and like East 15th Street or something like that. And it's like 4 Indian spots competing. Right?
Oh.
Do you know what I'm talking
about?
about?
I've been there relatively recently.
Yeah, and they have like lights inside, like it's like Christmas lights, and each one has Christmas lights, and they're all trying to get you to go to their spot. I go to the top left spot. That's my favorite.
Yeah,
one.
that's what
Is that
I'm
where you go too? Yeah.
It's great Indian food, really cheap. It's also
so cheap.
So
BYOB. Yeah.
And so the last time we went, we like brought like a
Can
bottle.
We go?
100%.
Yes.
I'd love to go.
Yes.
So we brought like a bottle of wine and like
Yeah.
some beers. And like a bunch of college girls walk in after us with a handle of vodka.
Right.
And they literally showed up with a handle of vodka, and like they clearly had been there before. And the guy just brought them out soda waters and stuff. And they just made vodka sodas, and they were.
It's the best. Yeah. It's the best.
It's so chill. It's really really nice. Amazing food too.
And it's small.
It's really
it's
small. You're like on
and
top
you
of
like
each other.
you have to like crouch because your head's gonna hit one of the fake flags / you know what I'm talking about, and the lights. It's cool
so
though.
Good. Yeah.
Okay, I need to try this place now.
Yeah,
it has a lot of character. It's good for a good like IG shot or something too.
Have you had samosas and stuff? Have you had a samosa?
I'm thinking of a mimosa.
No,
very different.
What's the difference?
It's basically like this pastry.
Oh no, I haven't.
What?
I thought it was a drink.
Yeah, no.
You get the samosa. It's a pastry and stuffed with like potatoes.
Okay.
And like a bunch of spices
and spices, and it's really yummy. And you dip it in the chutney or the yogurt sauce. Oh my god,
I'm getting hungry now.
The yogurt sauce is great.
Yum.
Well, we are kind of getting close to our time here. This has been really, really fun, though.
This was fast.
I know. Time flies.
I was a little nervous. I was like, I haven't done in live podcast thing in a while. Definitely not as nervous as I would be on a space. That shit would fuck me up. But this is really fun. I'm really happy I did this.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful you guys hit me up. Lewis, shout out to you for setting this up, because
I
I'm
didn't
really
even ask
grateful
about the wrestling. You're wearing the New
know.
World Order shirt.
Yeah,
like,
man.
That just means we got to run it back.
You
we need
gotta run it back.
a wrestling episode. I have a lot of very fond memories of like the WWF from like 98 to
that's when I was into it.
Like Stone Cold Steve Austin, Undertaker,
God.
Paul Bearer, Kane. Like that was my life. Like,
me too. Me too.
Road Dogg, Dudley Boys, X-Pac, Hardy Boys. Like that was like
Hardy Boys. So Lita is my all-time inspiration. I used to wear I still wear baggy pants.
You ever do like front flips off things, like just to see if you could?
No, but I would wear my G-string panty. And it wasn't a thong back then because I was too young, but we would have like these panties that had like the string, and I would kind of have it on the side, kind of like how Lita did. I know, it's fucking
No, I mean, that was like before the internet was huge. The WWE or WWF, before it even turned into WWE, was like so fucking fun. And like the video games
I was gonna say that was my big thing, was the video games.
WWE SmackDown on the PlayStation 1.
So fun.
Oh, I didn't play that. I was a 007 kind of girl.
That you could build your own fighter and like participate in.
You could do that now.
Yeah. I was a big fan of the Royal Rumbles.
I would always do the steel cage death matches.
Yes, Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
You'd always be trying to recreate like the Mankind Undertaker clip, and it was just never clean. Like it was never clean.
What, the Undertaker one?
Yeah, I was trying to choke slam this guy like off
through
the cell, and then like the game would glitch and like the cell would break, and you would just like teleport to the base layer.
Yeah, so when I first met Peter, I didn't know he was involved with WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I found out, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool, because it was such a big part of my life as a kid, like, 5th, 6th, 7th grade, that I'm like, I'm going to watch wrestling again. And it's definitely different. I get to go to a lot of wrestling. Like I travel with, so Peter does all the pay-per-view events, like the pre-shows.
Yeah.
He actually won a title. They gave him a title.
Oh, wow. That's badass.
So he's a 24/7 champion, which is like, think about like every child's dream of like one day.
Does he have a real belt?
He had a belt, yeah. It was like this whole
great.
thing. And then they went on the Michael K show on ESPN, and the dude won the belt back. Like he snuck in the hotel room and got the belt back and pinned Peter.
That's hilarious.
But it's funny, like the first night that I met him, I don't know if I could tell the story.
If we can always cut it out.
We can cut it.
All right. No, that's fine. You can tell it. I could tell the story. So the first night that we hung out, I like convinced him to smoke a little pot with me, and he's not much of a smoker, but he smoked. Like he took one hit, and then we're talking about music, and I think we were talking about like, oh, what was the first like CD or album that you bought? And I was like, my first album was Limp Bizkit, right? The hot dog flavored water and the chocolate starfish, whatever it's fucking called. And he like was so grossed out, and I was like, no, you have to listen to one song. And I play a song for him, and he's stoned, and he's like, why did I invite this weird girl that I met online to my house? Like that's what he's thinking.
What song off the album did you play?
I think I played one of the lighter ones.
You play Rollin'?
No. I love, listen, that's how I got into it, because of WWE.
Because that's how I had the same album. Like,
right, because of that pay-per-view event, like that was their promo. But I didn't realize that at the time. I was just saying, oh, this was the first CD I ever got. And I played like one of the lighter ones, like Hold On or something like that, that was just vibey and like, it was like a vibey chill track or whatever. My favorite track on that album, by the way, is Full Nelson. It's just fucking fire. I remember my first fight. I listened to that beforehand. I knew this girl was going to try to fight. But that's a whole other story. This is some Queen stuff when you're 12 years old going into 7th grade. Right. I was not a fighter ever. And like, I always friends with everyone really, but this girl just messed with me, and she messed with the wrong girl.
Sometimes you gotta.
Anyways, so he tells the story now, and he's like, I was so grossed out. I was like, I couldn't even like, I had to leave the room, and I told her like, I need to take a nap. And I was like, are you okay? You sure? And I remember this. I was like, are you hungry? And he was like, no, I'm not hungry. So he went to take a nap. And when he tells the story, it's funny. He was like, and then I hear her in the kitchen. He's like, I'm in my bedroom and I hear her in the kitchen making food. And I was like, oh my God, this weird girl I told her I wasn't hungry and she's making me food. Like, I don't want to eat her food or whatever. Then I walk out and I go to the living room and I see her, she's eating. So he's like, she didn't even make me the food. But long story short, we then realized that the reason why Limp Bizkit was my first album was because of WWE, right? And that's what he loves, really, and that's his passion. Yeah. But he stopped watching during the Attitude Era. Like that was the one time that he was in college at that point and stopped watching. And so we didn't put two and two together at the time. So it's just an interesting story that's how we kind of
really
connected through that. I got to see Stone Cold this past WrestleMania. He came back after 20 years.
My favorite Stone Cold is when he like one of the ones he drives the beer truck in and then he has the spray.
Oh, I love it.
In other words, like swimming in the beer.
So tell me this. So here's the thing. I went to WrestleMania last year with Peter, and we have the best seats in the house. Stone Cold comes out. I'm dying on the inside, like dying. He stuns Mr. McMahon, Vince, which is like, how nostalgic is that? Like, they always had beef.
Watching that 25 years later.
I know. I got some photos too, some really good photos. I have to show you a picture of them, of what I have. I like did this effect to them as well. But seeing Stone Cold live, it was like my dream come true. And then after, Peter's like, oh, you want to go backstage? Let me like show you around. I'm like, okay, cool. We go backstage and we're like, he's like, oh, this is where they get dressed and this is and then he's introducing me to people, like, it was really cool. And then like we keep walking and I see he's like getting nervous. I was like, is he gonna propose to me? Like, what's going on here?
Is he gonna propose to me?
Right, I know, but he was like nervous. And then I was like, what are we doing here? He's like, oh, nothing, just showing you around. And then 10 minutes later, I was like, what are we doing here? He was like, I was trying to get to introduce, I wanted to introduce you to Stone Cold and Lita, because they're both, they're both here. But Stone Cold was coming out again. We didn't know. And Lita, we didn't run into. But Lita follows me on IG, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. Well, I don't want to be the fun police, but
I'm sorry. Okay. We gotta go.
No.
We gotta go.
So really quick, and then we gotta stop. We always ask everyone this. If you were to have an autobiography about yourself, what would you want the title to be?
Oh my God. This is like putting me on the spot.
I know, and we have like not very long.
Negative time. No, you're not.
We do a little life.
Yeah,
we do a little life.
I love it.
I don't know.
No, I like it.
We'll get back to it.
We do a little living.
I like it. No? I support it.
Yeah. I think we asked that question to everybody. It basically came up. I was on a podcast with a friend called Eshe, and he asked me, and I was like, dude, that's the most unique.
What was yours?
A Lindy walk.
What?
A Lindy walk. Like the spaces I host all the time, like going out for a walk with no point, no path.
I love that.
And
just kind of
mine right now is fuck it, we ball, but it kind of changes sometimes. Depends on my mood.
It depends on the era.
Yeah, but thank you so much for coming on.
Oh my God,
any shout outs?
Yeah, any shout outs?
Before we wrap up?
Man, shout out to my mom. I love you. Shout out to my dad.
We love
shout out
moms.
to Peter.
We love the family.
We love the fam. We love the fam.
Beautiful. Great. Well, yeah, I think we can wrap that up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.